Chapter 1084. Lioli City was the largest city in the Middle State. It was famous for its numerous temples. In fact, Lioli City did not only have many temples but also many brothels and brothels. In the city, there was an extremely prosperous red light street that ran through the central area of Lioli City and crossed two artificial rivers along the way. There were no less than 1,000 brothels, music houses, wine shops, and shops on the two long streets. There were many people who came to the red light street to seek pleasure. There were both men and women. Some of them had the desire to have a physical body while some of them just came here to entertain and enjoy the music. If it was in the past, the red light street would definitely be filled with endless customers. Outside the shops on both sides of the street, there would definitely be women soliciting customers everywhere. However, it was different today. Because of Ning Fan's arrival, the entire red light street was empty. Not a single person could be seen. Not a single woman was soliciting customers on the street. Not a single sound of music could be heard from the brothels. Not a single idle person came here to seek pleasure. Each of the brothels was tightly shut. Each of the music houses was locked. The taverns were closed and the shops were closed. The entire red light street was deserted. Accompanied by the gloomy weather, the atmosphere was indescribably bleak. Even the largest music house in Lioli City, Xiao Fang, did not have any customers today. It was completely deserted. The Xiao Fang was not purely a brothel. Its main source of profit came from the sale of spiritual wine at a sky-high price and the singing and dancing of the dancers. In the past, most of the customers who came here just came to drink and have fun. However, if one could pay a sufficient price, one could also invite some unknown singers for a night of sex. Of course, those famous singers usually wouldn't entertain guests. As for the leading figure of the Xiao Fang, Feng, she did not even need to drink with the guests. Even if she covered her face all day long, no one would blame her. Moreover, as the leading figure, she had great freedom. If she wanted to lead a dance, she could do so. If she wanted to rest, she could also be missing for 10 to 15 days. The so-called leading figure of the Xiao Fang, Feng, was actually the Supreme 10 Bees. However, basically no one knew about this except for a few people in the Supreme Pill's sacred region. Xiao Fang was a place where normal people didn't dare to act rashly. This had nothing to do with the 10 Bees' supremacy status, but rather because the spirit school of the 12 sacred mountain lineages stood behind Xiao Fang. Very few people dared to provoke such a force. The spirit sect status in the sacred mountain was very similar to the He clan's status in Triflames. They weren't the strongest immortal emperor force, but because of their superior alchemy skills, they were ranked at the top. The sacred mountain sects all had secular businesses in the grasslands. One of the businesses owned by the spirit sect was the Elegance Workshop. The owner of Lioli City's Xiao Fang was the holy son of the spiritual sect. The chosen of the spirit sect had a bone age of 8 million years, but he had cultivated a 9th transformation golden medicine soul. Be it his background or talent, he could be ranked among the sacred mountain's geniuses. Some immortal emperors even believed that he could break through to the emperor-grade medicine soul within 30 million years and become a 9-revolution emperor-grade pill refinement master. In the past, when immortal emperors met this person, they would be more or less courteous and call him little friend, which was enough to show how much they valued him. His territory was naturally not a place where the residents of Lioli City dared to act recklessly. Every time the sacred mountain's mausoleum opened, the mausoleum guardian of the sacred mountain could end his 1,000-year closed-door cultivation and walk out. At this time, the chosen of the spirit sect would walk out of the mausoleum and come to Lioli City's Elegance Workshop to collect all kinds of rare medicine souls as human cauldrons. To him, the existence of the Elegance Workshop was not for profit, but for private enjoyment. The chosen of the spirit sect did not participate in this year's mausoleum seizing battle. He was at an important juncture in the cultivation of his medicine soul. If he succeeded, his path to the emperor-grade medicine soul would be smooth. All he needed was time to accumulate, so he placed great importance on it. In the deepest part of the Elegance Workshop was a forbidden courtyard bathed in golden Buddhist light. It was isolated from the outside world and could not hear any sounds from the outside world. Cultivating inside would not be disturbed by anything from the outside world. Long before the start of the second round of the mausoleum seizing battle, the chosen of the spirit sect had come to the elegance workshop and shut himself in the forbidden courtyard. He was busy collecting women every day. Due to the existence of a huge restriction, if the chosen of the spirit sect did not walk out of the forbidden area on his own initiative, no one could enter or disturb his cultivation. Inside the forbidden area, there were hundreds and thousands of prison cells made of gold. Some were occupied by women, while others were empty. Some of the women living here were still virgins, some had already been plucked by the chosen of the spirit sect, and there were also some who had already been played with and had become stupid. Some of these women were slaves that he had raised since childhood, some were human cauldrons that he had bought from other experts of the spirit sect with a large sum of money, and some were women that he had directly taken from them. He was even more unscrupulous towards these women. Furthermore, there were some cultivators of the spirit sect who had offered their wives and daughters to him in order to curry favor with the spirit sect. He had long since become accustomed to this, and would even invite those who had offered their daughters to enjoy the offered women together with him. The 973 cell was occupied by Duolan. The interior of the cell was mainly decorated with gold. The tables and chairs were all made of gold. This was the so-called, keeping a mistress in a golden house. Duolan was wearing a wedding dress that was embroidered with the color of a night red lion. Her eyes were blank and she was half leaning on the bed. She had been imprisoned for several months like a canary waiting for death. There was a restriction on the cell. She could not walk out of it and others could not enter. Only the chosen of the spirit sect could come and go as he pleased. Occasionally, the loud laughter of the chosen of the spirit sect, the cries of women and the panting of their breaths could be heard from the cell in the distance. She knew that the chosen of the spirit sect was cultivating in this place, enjoying the plucking and refining of human cauldrons one after another. At this moment, she was still a virgin. However, she did not know how long she could remain a virgin, her expression was blank. No one knew why she was in a daze. Occasionally, she would mutter the word senior to herself. The senior that she was referring to was Ning Fan. She was locked up in this place by the chosen of the spirit sect on the eve of the second round of Ning Fan's mausoleum seizing competition. She had no idea about what had happened in the outside world after that. Her understanding of Ning Fan was still at the beginning of the second round of Ning Fan's mausoleum seizing competition. At that time, she really wanted to go to the scene and cheer for Ning Fan. However, she could not do so. Later on, she wanted to represent Chu Lai's lineage to participate in the third round of Ning Fan's mausoleum seizing competition. However, she no longer had the chance to do so. She was not kidnapped. Half of it was because she willingly walked into the cell of the chosen of the spirit sect. The other half of it was because she was coerced. Once she was locked up, she would never be able to walk out of this place. This was the decision that she had made herself. On the first day when Duolan followed Ning Fan to Lioli City, she heard that her clansmen were in trouble. That trouble originated from the chosen of the spirit sect. She did not tell Ning Fan in detail what the trouble was. Moreover, she did not want to involve Ning Fan in this matter because she knew that as an external cultivator, Ning Fan's identity was very sensitive. The spirit sect was involved in this matter. If Ning Fan gets involved, he might be killed if he is not careful. As a matter of fact, the trouble of her clansmen was indeed not a big problem. With her capabilities, she could barely settle it without considering the consequences. After the matter was settled, she wanted to directly go to the square of the Great Brightness Temple to see if she could rush there to cheer for Ning Fan who was participating in the mausoleum seizing competition. Unfortunately, she could not leave. The chosen of the spirit sect used a condition to imprison her. I heard from my subordinates that you are very close to an external cultivator with the surname Ning. Humph. I heard that this external cultivator is quite capable. Not long ago, he caused quite a ruckus in the 100 Flowers Peak. Even the experts of our sacred mountain have heard about it. However, that's all. An external cultivator is just an external cultivator. No matter how strong he is still a lowly existence. You are the dignified Chu Lai Saintess. To think that you actually degenerated to the point of fooling around with an external cultivator. You are really abandoning yourself. You asked me where I heard about it. There's no harm in telling you about it. The person who gave me the information is Spiritual Master Bai Lu of the 100 Flowers Peak. On the surface, he is a subordinate of the 100 Flowers Peak. However, he has already pledged his allegiance to me in secret. He is in charge of searching for human cauldrons with special medicine souls on the prairie for me. For the sake of benefits, he even offered all of his female disciples for me to pluck at will. His loyalty is absolutely reliable. I believe him when he said that you two are fooling around together. After all, you are just like your mother. Both of you are trash who have been toyed with by others. I plan to kill that Ning Fan. Do you think he should be killed? You are asking me why I want to kill him. Humph. You are my former fiancé. I can abandon you and break my engagement with Chu Lai. However, I will not allow someone I don't want to fool around with an external cultivator. He will bring shame to the reputation of my spirit sect. I don't like trash that I don't want to be touched by others either. Moreover, that external cultivator seems to have a concubine with a medicine soul of 5 colors. You know what I love to do the most is to kill my husband and take his wife by force. That kind of pleasure is simply indescribable. Moreover, a medicine soul with 5 colors is an extremely rare one. To me, it will be of great use. You want to beg me to let me go? What right do you have to beg me? How ridiculous. You are just a trash whose tattoo of a saintess was destroyed. If you still have any value to me, how could I have given up on my engagement with you and married another saintess? Of course, to me, the so-called marriage is just a nice way of saying it. The saintess that I marry is just a human cauldron that receives a slightly better treatment. That's all. I will still squeeze her dry in the end. What? You actually still have the yin qi of the saintess in your body? That's impossible. Your tattoo of a saintess has obviously already. Could it be the work of your father? It's the previous Chu Lai. Fine. As long as you are willing to marry me again and become my 19th Tao companion, I promise not to kill that external cultivator. After all, compared to a human cauldron with a medicine soul of 5 colors, your huge amount of yin qi is definitely more valuable. Ha! You actually have such a huge amount of yin qi. Good. Very good. No, I can't pluck you immediately. I have to make some preparations first before I absorb your yin qi. Humph. Before I make sufficient preparations, you will stay here and wait for my arrival. If you dare to run away, I will kill that external cultivator and all the clansmen you left in this city. That's right. That's the kind of eyes filled with hatred. I love to see this kind of eyes. I have to give in to hatred. The more you hate me, the happier I will be when I enter your body in the future. Ha ha ha. Just wait and see. That day won't be too far away. Before that, I still have many women to pluck. I don't have time to waste with you. In that case, I will see you later, my 19th wife. Silent tears rolled down from the corner of Dolan's eyes. In order to revitalize Chu Lai's bloodline, she had endured countless schemes and deceived everyone to survive until today. However, in order to protect Ning Fan, she told him her biggest secret. That was the fact that the yin qi of the mother and child pawns still existed in her body. Moreover, the amount of yin qi in her body was much more than the total amount of yin qi of all the other saintesses. It was really unimaginable. In her body, there was enough yin qi to support her cultivation all the way to the immortal emperor realm. That was everything her father had left for her before he passed away. It was all her hope to revitalize Chu Lai's bloodline. When she first met Ning Fan, she would rather die than to be plucked by him. However, today, in order to protect Ning Fan, she took the initiative to tell the sacred son of the spirit sect about the yin qi and used it to bargain with him. After that, both of them made an agreement. She who had her engagement with the sacred son of the spirit sect was going to marry the sacred son of the spirit sect again. There was no grand wedding, no ceremony, no guests, no blessings. There was only a cell that she couldn't get out of and the continuous moaning and gasping of a woman in the distance. Dolan knew very well how terrifying the spirit sect was. It was a force that had an immortal emperor as its leader. Moreover, it was not comparable to the 5 emperors' forces of the Middle State. It was a true force of the Holy Mountain. Even though the 12 bloodlines of the Holy Mountain were like fire and water, if an external cultivator were to provoke any of the bloodlines, he would definitely be suppressed by the 12 bloodlines. This was the main reason why she did not want Ning Fan to get involved in this matter. If he was careless, he would have to face the siege of countless immortal emperors of the Holy Mountain. In Dolan's opinion, it was a matter of certain death. Therefore, when the sacred son of the spirit sect threatened to kill Ning Fan, Dolan felt fear. That was why she compromised and made this deal. It has already been a few months. Senior should have already finished the second round of the mausoleum seizing competition. With Senior's ability, it definitely won't be a problem for him to get into the top 3. In that case, he would be able to get what he wanted. Senior is an external cultivator. He has a special purpose in coming to the Holy Region. If everything goes smoothly, he should have already achieved his goal and left the Holy Region. I have told my clansmen not to tell Senior about this matter. After all, with his strength, it would be futile for him to get involved in this matter. Those clansmen would not disobey my order and speak of this matter carelessly. The sacred son of the spirit sect is my fiancé. Even though the engagement was annulled, it is natural for me to marry him. It has nothing to do with Senior and this matter will not implicate Senior. Today, I seem to have understood my father's feelings a little. I used to hate him. I hated him for violating the commandments of the great inferiority. I hated him for doing things without considering the consequences. I washed the 100 Flowers Peak with blood, slaughtered the Tri-Flames with lightning, pointed my sword at the radiant Buddha. I hated him for killing too many people. I hated him for dying early. I hated him for leaving me alone without anyone to rely on. I hated him for implicating countless clansmen and making them prisoners of the Yoli city. At that time, I didn't understand my father's feelings. I didn't understand the sorrow he felt when he called my mother's name before he passed away. Now, I seem to understand a little. In this world, there will always be someone who can make you give up all your beliefs and even yourself. By the way, I still owe Senior a tuft of innate soul-nourishing spiritual medicine. I didn't give it to him. I left this item in the Holy Mountain's mausoleum. If I don't go and retrieve it, he won't be able to enter the Holy Mountain's mausoleum and obtain this item. I also promised Senior that I won't run around. If I fail to keep my promise, will Senior blame me? Duolan wiped away her tears and sighed softly. Her mind was filled with different thoughts. Her life was already about to be completely ruined and she had already become the sacred son of the spirit sect's plaything. However, what she was concerned about was not her own desperate situation but the promise she made with Ning Fan. When she thought that Ning Fan could not find her and would think that she ran away, lied and betrayed him, she felt worried. However, she would no longer be able to contact Ning Fan and she would not have the chance to explain herself. Forget it. Let it be like this. Senior will only treat me as a soul-locking slave. That's all, Senior, thank you. You brought me to pay respects to my mother's grave on the 100 Flowers Peak. That was the happiest time I had after my father's death. Thank you. Duolan felt a little tired. She wanted to fall asleep and no longer listen to the panting and moaning sounds coming from outside the window. However, all of a sudden, she felt the hair on her temples being blown by the wind. Could it be that the window was not closed tightly and the wind blew in? No. It's impossible. The prison is filled with restrictive spells. How could there be wind? When she opened her eyes, Duolan's beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. Her mouth was wide open. She was so shocked that she could not speak a word. The window of the prison that was filled with restrictive spells had been broken by someone without her knowing. Under the window, accompanied by the golden Buddhist light of the restrictive spells, a white-robed figure fell into her eyes without any mistake. It's actually Ning Fan. Am I hallucinating? If it's not an illusion, why is Senior standing under the window? I heard from your clansmen that you are imprisoned in this place. Is this related to me? Ning Fan asked with a frown. No. It's not. Who was the one who told Senior about this? This has nothing to do with Senior. Actually, it's me. Duolan wanted to explain, but she suddenly had a feeling that Ning Fan had seen through her. At this moment, Ning Fan activated his mind-reading technique and saw many facts from Duolan's mind. In just an instant, he understood the whole story of why Duolan sacrificed her life to be imprisoned in this place. Ning Fan's tightly knitted brows loosened up. Then, his expression turned into a complicated sigh. Duolan, on the other hand, smiled bitterly. How could I forget that Senior knows the mind-reading technique? It's too easy for him to see through my mind. It's impossible for me to lie to him, all right. Then I won't lie anymore. Why do I have to lie? Why do I not dare to admit it even though the person I like is right in front of me? Duolan bit her lips. She wanted to tell Ning Fan that she really liked him. She rushed out from the bed and ran towards Ning Fan's arms. She wanted to get into Ning Fan's arms and tell him all the despair she had experienced in the past few days. However, halfway through her journey, she suddenly realized that Ning Fan did not come here alone. Instead, he brought another woman with him. Of course, she did not know Tu Huang. She just thought that he was one of Ning Fan's many lovers who were similar to Ouyang Nguyen and Zhang Yu. Tu Huang's appearance was already extremely beautiful. Deep in her bones, she had the aura of a noble lady who looked down on the world. It made Duolan feel a sense of inferiority for no reason. She smiled bitterly. The courage that she had mustered for countless days and nights was extinguished just like that. She stopped running in front of Ning Fan. Suddenly, she lost her balance and was pushed into Ning Fan's arms by a jade-like hand that came out of nowhere. What a pretty little wife. Ning Fan, your luck with women is really not shallow. It was Tu Huang. He pushed Duolan, who was filled with worries, into Ning Fan's arms. Under normal circumstances, no matter how generous a woman is, she would not push another woman into the arms of the person she likes. Such an action was enough to prove that Tu Huang really did not have any romantic feelings for Ning Fan. Duolan cried out in surprise. Being caught off guard, she had already crashed into Ning Fan's arms. Ning Fan did not avoid it. Instead, he held Duolan up and gave Tu Huang a strange look, as if he was asking her why she helped him. Tu Huang, on the other hand, shrugged his shoulders as if it was none of his business. Then, he casually glanced at the decorations in the room. There was an indescribable feeling in his heart that he did not know where it came from. Senior, how did you enter this place? This place is protected by the Vajra seal of the spirit sect. Even an immortal king realm expert would not be able to break in. Even if you manage to break in, why does that sacred child of the spirit sect seem to be completely unaware of your arrival? He is still panting and plucking. By the way, how is Senior's result in the mausoleum seizing battle? You must have gotten into the top 3 in the second round. If you have such a rank, you can still participate in the third round. The people of the spirit sect shouldn't have made things difficult for you, right? After her initial emotions subsided, Duolan finally thought of a series of questions. She was puzzled and asked. How is Ning Fan doing now? Ning Fan seemed to have broken into the restriction forcefully. However, it seemed like the owner of the restriction did not notice him as he was still busy having sex with that woman. There were too many things that Duolan wanted to ask. Since she was isolated from the outside world, she had no idea what kind of chaos was happening outside. It was all because of Ning Fan alone. What's so difficult about breaking into this small restriction? Ning Fan could even come and go freely in the 3 flames. He could even do whatever he wanted on the holy mountain. What is a small Xiufang to him? Ning Fan did not explain too much to Duolan. He only briefly told her the purpose of his visit. Since he came to this place, of course, it was to bring Duolan away. He did not like to owe people karma. If Duolan really sacrificed herself here to help him resist the schemes of the spirit sect, then it was impossible for him to stay out of this matter. The sacred child of the spirit sect. He had even defeated the immortal emperor of the spirit sect. Why would he be afraid of the sacred child of the spirit sect? Now that there was not a single quasi-saint realm expert in the middle state here, there was no existence in this supreme pill's sacred region that was worthy of his fear. The sacred child of the spirit sect was far from enough. He couldn't even notice my intrusion. This sacred child of the spirit sect is really too focused on his work. I'm going to meet this sacred child of the spirit sect. Do you want to go with me? Ning Fan asked Duolan. Don't go. The sacred child of the spirit sect is a fourth tribulation immortal king. Senior won't be able to defeat him. Senior, you don't have to save me anymore. No matter how Senior came in, Senior, please leave. Ning Fan flicked Duolan's forehead angrily. So what if he's a fourth tribulation immortal king? Even when he was suppressed by Xing Huan during the second round of the mausoleum seizing competition, he was not afraid of him. Now that he had killed an immortal emperor, he would no longer view an immortal king as a formidable enemy. I'm not as weak as you think. I'm also not afraid of the spirit sect or the holy mountain. I hate trouble and I don't like to get involved in muddy waters. However, it doesn't mean that I will choose to run away if karma provokes me. From your heart, I know that the sacred child of the spirit sect first schemed against Nuan Air. Then, he used my life to force you to submit. He has violated my taboo. Thus, it's impossible for me to spare his life. Ning Fan no longer sought Duolan's opinion. Instead, he flicked his sleeve and a golden ray of light shone. Ignoring the restrictive spells of the house, he brought Duolan and Tu Huang along and disappeared from where they stood. When they reappeared, the three of them were standing outside one of the thousands of prison houses. Inside the house, there were the sounds of women cursing, men's resentful voices and the excited laughter of the sacred child of the spirit sect. Husband, don't look. Don't. Ah. Ah. Kill me. Kill me. It was the voice of a woman who was begging for death. Divine Sovereign Ling. Let go of my wife. Let him go. I beg you. Please don't. Don't. Ah. It was a man who was screaming in agony as if he was witnessing his wife being humiliated with his own eyes. Ha! Look! What a fair and tender body. What a beautiful crevice. How moist and arousing. This is your wife. Do you see her? She's enjoying herself under my body. Ha! Do you want to play with her? If you do, I can remove the restrictive spell on you and let you play with the other parts of her body. Shameless. You're shameless. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. It was the man who roared desperately. Then, a loud explosion occurred, destroying the entire prison house. It was the power of a thought fragmentation realm cultivator's self-destruction. After the golden house was destroyed, the sacred child of the spirit sect stood in the ruins as if there was no one else around him. He ignored the man who had self-destructed and continued to press a woman whose face was flushed red and whose face was full of tears against the wall. The woman's face was full of grief. Gradually, she began to feel the will to die. Her body, which was covered in red marks, suddenly exploded without any warning. The energy waves from the self-destruction of the void were easily suppressed by the sacred child of the spirit sect. Whether it was the thought fragmentation realm's self-destruction or the void's self-destruction, they could not hurt him at all. Under his suppression, the energy waves could not even spread out of the prison house. If not for the fact that he wanted to experience the feeling of playing with a woman in the ruins, he could have prevented the prison house from being destroyed. How unlucky. I didn't expect this Tao companion of Jinling to be so unyielding. I haven't had enough fun with her and she's been destroyed just like that, the sacred child of the spirit sect snorted. He activated his magic power and created clothes to cover his body. The surrounding smoke and dust continued to spread and only subsided after a long time. When the smoke and dust subsided, the sacred child of the spirit sect saw a strange scene. Not far away, a huge green fire dragon lightning shield had been covering the area for an unknown period of time. The fire dragon lightning shield was not far away, but he could not sense any aura from it. There seemed to be some daring intruder hiding under the lightning shield. An intruder has actually entered the Vajraseal of the spirit sect without a sound. How is this possible? Even an immortal king. Hiss, it's a Khanate Dharma treasure. Could it be a celestial emperor? Could it be that senior? Upon closer inspection, the sacred child of the spirit sect recognized the origin of the golden lightning shield. 5 Thunder Destruction Shield. The Khanate Dharma treasure of the Thunder lineage's third ancestor, Lei Chao. Could it be that Lei Chao, the 7 Tribulation Immortal Emperor? If Senior Lei Chao was here, he could indeed sneak in without a sound. After all, a 7 Tribulation Immortal Emperor was an existence that the entire spirit sect could not afford to offend. When the sacred child of the spirit sect thought that the other party might be a 7 Tribulation Immortal Emperor, he could not help but feel bitter. I'm Divine Lord Ling. I didn't know that Senior Lei Chao would visit my humble abode. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Although Divine Lord Ling spoke politely, she was thinking about the reason why Lei Chao had come. Such an existence would not come for no reason without cause. If he had any instructions, he could have sent a subordinate to pass a message. He would not have lowered himself to visit. Since he had taken the initiative to come, it was most likely that he wanted to settle the score with her on the spot, Divine Lord Ling secretly calculated in her heart. Although he was guilty of many crimes, the women he harmed usually avoided the disciples and descendants of powerful celestial emperors. He was afraid that he would be tainted by the karma of such celestial emperors. He secretly guessed that there was something wrong with the cauldrons that he had collected over the past 1,000 years that was related to Lei Chao. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. Of course, he would not die because of this. No matter what, he was the sacred child of the spirit sect. He was different from Duo Lan, who had lost her status as a saintess. He was the sacred child that many celestial emperors recognized as a 9th revolution pill refinement master who would become an emperor-grade pill refinement master in the future. Even if Lei Chao came to settle the score, he would not kill him. At most, he would just punish him slightly. If that was the case, it was fine. At most, he would make up for it with Lei Chao. Divine Lord Ling was shrewd. In an instant, she had prepared many countermeasures to deal with the arrival of Lei Chao. Unfortunately, all her countermeasures were met with horror the moment the green fire dragon lightning shield was revealed. The newcomer was not Great Emperor Lei Chao. The newcomer was actually a man and 2 women. Other than Duo Lan, the other 2 were unfamiliar to her. Their cultivation bases did not seem to be very high either. Who are you? What is your relationship with Senior Lei Chao? Why is the 5 lightning annihilation shield in your hands? Divine Lord Ling asked in surprise. I am Ning Fan. You have been isolated from the world for a long time. You probably don't know what I have done outside. Ning Fan said ruthlessly. Ning Fan. This name sounds a little familiar. Yes, it's the external cultivator who is related to Duo Lan. Divine Lord Ling's eyes immediately turned gloomy. Even though he did not know why Senior Lei Chao would lend the 5 lightning annihilation shield to an external cultivator, he did not have a good impression of this external cultivator at all. He did not know that Ning Fan's punishment ring was destroyed in the 2nd round of the mausoleum seizing battle. He did not know that Ning Fan had killed Bai Lu and the chaotic 3 flames and the 4 emperors of the Middle Province. Moreover, he did not know that Ning Fan had defeated the entire sacred mountain and forced them to flee without a trace. If he knew about it, he would certainly not dare to be so calm in front of Ning Fan. Unfortunately, he did not know anything. After all, before the 2nd round of the mausoleum seizing battle ended, he had already entered a life of death seclusion here, living a wonderful life of plucking women every day. Humph. So it's you, this external cultivator. You came for Duo Lan. I see. I understand now. That old man Lei Chao is really scheming. He probably found out about the existence of the massive amount of yin qi in Duo Lan's body through some kind of channel. He wanted to plot against it, but he did not want to become enemies with my spirit sect. That's why he lent his natal magic treasure to you. He wanted you, an external cultivator, to offend the spirit sect and snatch Duo Lan. What a great scheme. Senior Lei Chao, who is known as the 100 Lives Lightning Fox. Divine Sovereign Ling began to imagine the reason why Ning Fan possessed the 5 lightning extermination barrier. It made Ning Fan feel speechless towards the sacred child of the spirit sect in front of him. Ning Fan was even more clueless about Lei Chao's title of the 100 Lives Lightning Arc. However, he remembered the scene where Tu Huang and Zhang Yu joined hands to kill the 3 Thunder Sound Emperors. It seemed that the third ancestor, Lei Chao, was indeed the hardest to kill. No matter how he killed him, he would have to resurrect himself. Ning Fan asked himself that if it wasn't for Tu Huang and Zhang Yu's divine abilities and Ouyang Wan's method to restrain the Thunder Sound's secret technique, he probably would not have been able to kill the 3 great emperors of Lei Yun country, Lei Jing and Lei Chao. Even if he managed to kill them in the end, Ning Fan would not get the main credit. Why aren't you talking? It seems like you've tacitly agreed with my guess. As expected, Senior Lei Chao also has his eyes on Duo Lan. This is going to be a little troublesome. Duo Lan's yin qi is very important to me. Of course, if Senior Lei Chao fancies this woman, I won't dare to monopolize her. How about this? You, an external cultivator, help me run errands and pass a message to Senior Lei Chao. If Senior Lei Chao is willing, I'm willing to share Duo Lan with him. I'll take 30% of the yin qi and Senior Lei Chao will take 70%. How about this? Ning Fan's eyes immediately turned gloomy. Sure enough, he still could not accept Divine Lord Ling's bottomless words. Even though he was also a flower-plucking devil lord, plucking a flower was equivalent to monopolizing it. He had never done something like sharing a flower with another person like Divine Lord Ling. Just thinking about it made him feel disgusted. Moreover, he would never rape another person's wife and daughter in front of another person's husband. It was true that he was an evil person, but he was not someone who had no bottom line. What? Not even 30% and 70%. You, an external cultivator, are really smart. You actually want to ask for more benefits for Senior Lei Chao. It seems like Senior Lei Chao has also promised you something. How about this? If you're willing to give me face and help me put in a good word for you in front of Senior Lei Chao, from today onwards, you will be a friend of my spirit sect. What do you think? Divine Lord Ling's attitude was high and mighty, as if it was Ning Fan's great honor to become a friend of the spirit sect. Ning Fan finally sneered. He was too lazy to watch Divine Lord Ling's one-man show anymore. It's impossible for me and the spirit sect to become friends. Humph. How arrogant. Are you going to reject my kindness? Divine Lord Ling was enraged. Ning Fan, however, did not plan to continue talking nonsense with Divine Lord Ling. He directly activated his 5 lightning annihilation shield. Immediately, Divine Lord Ling's expression changed drastically. He turned around and tried to retreat, but he was sucked in by the 5 lightning annihilation shield. He could not evade it. Then, the lightning shield continued to expand and engulfed him. 5 lightning dragons rammed against each other inside the lightning shield. Divine Lord Ling's groans could be heard from inside the lightning shield. Obviously, his injuries were getting worse under the lightning shield. In a battle between immortal venerables, 12 Nirvana magic treasures were enough to influence the outcome of the battle. In a battle between immortal kings, if one of them possesses an innate magic treasure, it would be almost impossible for the other party to lose. At this moment, Ning Fan was clearly only using one innate magic treasure. However, Divine Lord Ling, who was a 4-tribulation immortal king, was in a life-threatening situation. If he does not escape, he would certainly die. The reason why he was subdued by Ning Fan in a single move was not only because the 5 lightning annihilation shield was powerful, but also because Divine Lord Ling had been plucking others to cultivate until today. His cultivation realm was shallow. Although he was a 4th-tribulation immortal king in name, his strength was only slightly stronger than an ordinary 3rd-tribulation immortal king. This was the helplessness of most dual cultivators. It was not Ning Fan's helplessness, so what if you have an innate magic treasure? I can't defeat you. However, I have plenty of ways to escape. Spirit Dispersal Technique. Divine Lord Ling let out a furious roar. His body suddenly turned into millions of rays of light and flew away, ignoring the suppression of the 5 lightning annihilation shield. As soon as he escaped, Divine Lord Ling, who had turned into millions of rays of light, was instantly filled with joy. However, his joy did not last for too long. Suddenly, a rope that was flashing with lightning appeared in midair. The end of the rope was connected to the end, forming a rope loop. Its entire body was glowing with lightning and it emitted an innate chi. Divine Lord Ling wanted to turn into millions of rays of light to escape, but all of them were sucked into the rope loop. As soon as the rays of light gathered, Divine Lord Ling was forced out of his physical body. He was tightly bound by the lightning rope that was intertwined with black lightning. Once he was bound by the rope, he could not even mobilize his magic power. Lightning Prison Rope. It's actually the 2nd innate magic treasure. It belongs to Lei Jing, the 2nd ancestor of the Thunder Sound tribe. You even borrowed Lei Jing's treasure. Divine Lord Ling was terrified. Ning Fan, who was too lazy to explain the matter of borrowing treasures, activated the 5 lightning annihilation shield once again, covering Divine Lord Ling tightly. He had to admit that the magic treasures that he obtained from the 3 emperors of the Thunder Sound tribe were extremely effective when used together. The lightning prison rope was heaven-defying when it was used to bind people, but its offensive power was insufficient. The 5 lightning annihilation shield's offensive power was fierce, but it was easy for people to escape from it. If the 2 of them were used together, one to bind people while the other to explode them, it would undoubtedly be a powerful killing weapon. Facing a 4th-tribulation immortal king like Divine Lord Ling, who did not live up to his name, Ning Fan did not even move his feet. He just controlled the 2 magic treasures to force Divine Lord Ling to the brink of death. You really want to kill me? Divine Lord Ling was extremely shocked. He could already tell that Ning Fan's killing intent towards him was not fake. It also did not seem like Ning Fan was representing the Thunder Sound tribe to negotiate with him. I don't understand. I don't understand. His identity is so special and his talent in pill refinement is so high. Even if Lei Jing and Lei Chao come here personally, they would not dare to kill him on the spot. That would undoubtedly be a declaration of war against the entire spirit sect. Even a faction as strong as the Thunder Sound tribe would not be willing to fight to the death with the other factions. Why does Ning Fan want to kill him? Isn't he afraid of offending the spirit sect? Isn't he afraid of offending the entire holy mountain? Hold on. He seemed to have forgotten about the fact that Ning Fan's punishment ring was destroyed. As an external cultivator, why did he release the punishment cold dew or destroy it privately? Did he stay in seclusion for too long? Did he miss too many major events in the outside world? Seeing that he was about to die in the 5 lightning annihilation shield, Divine Lord Ling gritted his teeth and suddenly activated the natal spiritual talisman that he had refined for countless years. Almost every member of the spirit sect had a natal spiritual talisman. Each of them had different talismans and their abilities were also different. The ability of Divine Lord Ling's natal spiritual talisman was to open a spatial passage. Moreover, it was the kind of opening that could ignore all restraints. Even if he was being suppressed by Ning Fan's 5 lightning annihilation shield, as long as he willed it, he could directly open the passage to the Holy Mountain's mausoleum and attract the seniors inside to kill Ning Fan. My spirit sect can only use 3 natal spiritual talismans in a lifetime. You must choose carefully. Each talisman can only be used once and you must use it sparingly. Today, I can't care about that anymore. This is my last spirit dispersing shuttle talisman. Ning Fan, you forced me to use this talisman. I will settle this score with you right away. Just you wait to suffer the wrath of my spirit sect. Passage, open. Divine Lord Ling shouted. A talisman with overwhelming spiritual chi suddenly flew out of his body and ignited in front of him. As soon as the talisman was ignited, Divine Lord Ling's chi became significantly weaker. It seemed like he had consumed a lot of energy. Then, a black hole appeared inside the 5 lightning annihilation shield. One end of the black hole was connected to this place while the other end was directly connected to the Holy Mountain's mausoleum. Old Ancestor, save me. Elders, save me. Divine Lord Ling shouted at the other end of the black hole. A response immediately came from the other end of the black hole. It's the voice of the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun was actually forced to use the spirit-dispersing shuttle talisman. Who is the one who forced the Holy Sun to a dead end? Let's quickly accept the permission to open this black hole and travel through it to save the Holy Sun. Humph. Does he really think that he can bully our holy mountain as he pleases just because we are in a precarious situation? I would like to see which old man on the grassland is bullying the Holy Sun of our spirit sect. Countless angry voices echoed. It was said that most of the cultivators of the spirit sect who spoke were the survivors who were rescued by the Holy Mountain in a comatose state. The battle on the Holy Mountain had cast a shadow in the hearts of all the cultivators of the Holy Mountain. Without the protection of the Radiant Buddha, the Holy Mountain did not dare to show itself in the outside world. They were afraid that Ning Fan would attack them again. On one hand, all the immortal cultivators of the Holy Mountain were extremely afraid of Ning Fan's devil might. On the other hand, they were filled with resentment. They did not dare to vent their anger on Ning Fan. Now, Divine Lord Ling's request for help was the perfect opportunity for them to vent their anger. These cultivators of the spirit sect wanted to see which old monster of the grassland was bullying the Holy Sun. It would be a good opportunity for them to vent their anger. Just as some of them were about to open the passageway of the black hole that Divine Lord Ling sent to them, a few of them stopped them. Don't be in a hurry to open this passageway. Let's first ask who is chasing after the Holy Sun. If it's that person, wouldn't we be letting that person invade the Holy Mountain directly if we open this passageway? Hiss. I forgot about this possibility. But it shouldn't be such a coincidence. It can't be such a coincidence. Hee hee. Even though the Holy Mountain has lost its face now, it is still not a place that ordinary people dare to provoke. Other than that external cultivator, I can't think of a second person who dares to force the Holy Sun of our clan into a dead end. If that's the case, it's better for us to find out the truth before opening the passageway. Therefore, some cautious people asked Lord Spiritual God about the ins and outs of the matter. When they found out that the person who trapped and killed Divine Lord Ling was Ning Fan, all the cultivators of the spirit sect sucked in a cold breath. Their expressions changed. No one dared to open the passageway on the other side of the black hole to save Divine Lord Ling anymore. What do you mean by this? Why aren't you coming to rescue me? Will you only be satisfied when I die here? Where's the Patriarch? The Patriarch loves me the most. Why hasn't he come to save me? Divine Lord Ling was infuriated by his clansmen's inaction. The old ancestor withstood the heavenly tribulation that day and has yet to wake up from his severe injuries. Even if he wakes up, I'm afraid he won't dare to save the Holy Sun. Why? He's just an external cultivator. Why are all of you so afraid of him? Is it because he has a close relationship with the Sonic Thunder lineage that allowed him to borrow 2 Khanate Dharma treasures? Spiritual Lord said angrily. Close relationship. Cough, cough, cough. The saint must have been in seclusion outside for too long, so he was not too clear about the drastic changes on the Holy Mountain. The external cultivator who trapped you has no relationship with the Thunder Sound lineage. Not only that, but the blood debt of the 4 emperors can be traced back to this demon. Because of this demon, the Thunderclap 4 emperors died one after another. The other side of the black hole said bitterly. W.H. Watt. Lei Yunhua, an 8 tribulation cultivator, and Lei Jing, Lei Chao, and Lei Tsang, who were 7 tribulation cultivators, were all dead? The karma is related to this child. Spiritual Lord's face turned pale. At this moment, he had a speculation that seemed absurd but was close to the truth. Perhaps the reason why Ning Fan possessed the Khanate Dharma treasures of the Thunderclap Immortal Emperor was not because he borrowed them but because he killed them and snatched their treasures. But is that possible? That's an immortal emperor. How can an immortal emperor be killed by an external venerated immortal? This Ning Fan is not an ancient venerated immortal. It seems like you don't know anything at all. You've already encountered this demon. This demon first killed enlightened being Bai Lu in the Sea Shaman tribe. Then, he invaded the Three Flames in an unknown way. After that, he massacred the He clan of the Wood Flame and killed their immortal emperor. The Sky Flame Mountain of Corpses was invaded by him. Even the Wood Lord and the Stone Lord who were guarding this place could do nothing to him. The Meng clan of the Stone Flame was destroyed by him and the immortal emperor of the Meng clan was killed. After that, this devil returned to the grassland and went to the Middle State. He killed 4 of the 5 emperors of the Middle State in a single night. After that, this devil became even more lawless. He attacked the Holy Mountain with his own strength and killed countless people. If it wasn't because we have the mausoleum illusion technique to protect ourselves, I'm afraid the entire Holy Mountain would have been wiped out by him. On the other side of the black hole, the cultivators of the spirit sect recounted the atrocities that Ning Fan had committed in the past few days. Spiritual Lord was completely dumbfounded. The impact was too much and too great. He could not believe that what these people said was true at all. A bunch of nonsense. How is it possible for this young man to kill immortal emperors? How is it possible for him to destroy the Holy Mountain? Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and open the passage at the other end of the black hole. Come and save me. Hurry. Spiritual Lord was on the verge of breaking down. However, the passage at the other end of the black hole was still not opened. Even if those cultivators of the spirit sect watched Spiritual Lord die, they would never open the passage. Once the passage is opened, they could cross countless distances from the interior of the Holy Mountain and arrive at this place. However, even if they arrive at this place, they would not have the ability to save Ning Fan. Instead, Ning Fan might take the opportunity to invade the interior of the Holy Mountain's mausoleum through the black hole. The heavens took pity on them. It took them a lot of effort to hide the Holy Mountain back into the endless void. If they let Ning Fan invade the Holy Mountain, it would certainly be destroyed. Bastard! All of you are bastards. Save me. Save me. I will give all of my human cauldrons to whoever saves me. Ah! Where's the old ancestor? Old ancestor, save me. Where are you? Where are the elders? Why aren't any of you coming to save me? I don't believe it. I don't believe what you said is true. I don't believe that this external cultivator is so terrifying. He's just a mere external cultivator. He's just a mere external cultivator. It's fake. It's fake. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Bang! Ning Fan withdrew the 5 lightning annihilation barrier and the lightning prison rope. Only ashes were left on the ground. Spiritual Lord was nowhere to be seen. She was completely killed by the 5 lightning annihilation barrier. Ning Fan, of course, was not concerned about Spiritual Lord's unwillingness before his death. Everything in this world had its causes and effects. Since Spiritual Lord was the one who provoked him first, he could not blame anyone else for what happened to him. What Ning Fan was slightly interested in was not Spiritual Lord's storage pouch which had a weak foundation. Instead, it was the black hole that he left behind. The other end of the black hole leads directly to the Holy Mountain's mausoleum. It's a very interesting ability. This sacred child of the spirit sect is not weak after all. If he can really attract the help of the immortal emperors of the Holy Mountain, there might be a huge battle. Unfortunately, no one in the Holy Mountain's mausoleum dared to open the passage at the other end of the black hole and come to his aid. As if they sensed that Ning Fan was investigating the passage of the black hole, the people on the other side of the passage immediately cursed. They hurriedly extinguished the passage, as if they were afraid that Ning Fan would have other ways to forcefully open the passage and directly arrive at the mausoleum through heaven and earth. Their curses naturally did not have much confidence. Instead, they made people tremble with fear, treating Ning Fan as a dreadful monster. It had nothing to do with cultivation base. It had something to do with battle achievements. The great devil Lord Ning was definitely an existence that was comparable to the ancient immortal venerables. A single mistake could lead to the destruction of the holy mountain. Thus, these cultivators of the holy mountain had no choice but to be fearful. So what if he's an external cultivator? Currently, no one in the entire Supreme Pill's sacred region would dare to look down on Ning Fan just because of his identity as an external cultivator. Tu Huang was calm and composed. He did not find it strange at all that Ning Fan could kill spiritual lord in such a short time. Moreover, she even felt that Ning Fan was a little slow in killing them. According to the number of trump cards that Ning Fan had, if he were to use all of them, the likes of spiritual Lord Ling would probably not be able to survive a single blow. If Ning Fan enters a desperate state and uses the 800 Ancient Devil's mountain-breaking attack without caring about his consumption and injuries, even a 6th Tribulation Immortal Emperor's physical body might be destroyed by Ning Fan within 10 breaths. Her little butterfly was very strong. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to successfully rescue her from the holy mountain. Tu Huang was aware of this, but Duolan was not. She was as uninformed as spiritual Lord Ling. At this moment, when she saw Ning Fan killing spiritual Lord Ling, who was a 4th Tribulation Immortal King, with just a wave of his hand, her worldview was almost completely turned upside down. I see some of my shadow on you. It's the feeling of inferiority when you face my little butterfly. Are you also one of my smiles? Tu Huang's bright eyes flashed with indescribable kindness as he transmitted his voice to Duolan. Duolan did not know how powerful Tu Huang was. Thus, she did not feel any pressure when facing him. She replied with a surprised tone. Elder sister, I don't really understand what you're saying. What little butterfly? What inferiority? What smile? It's not strange that you don't know. Even I myself don't understand what I'm talking about. Tu Huang smiled in disappointment and said. If you are my smile, then carry my obsession and accompany my little butterfly. Don't be a coward anymore. Don't inherit this shortcoming of mine. I still don't understand. It's fine if you don't understand. I don't understand anything either. But I hope that my little butterfly can be happy. In the world without me, in the parallel paths that will never intersect with each other, and in the world where the entire world is filled with enemies, I hope that she will no longer be alone. Duolan could not understand anything. However, she could see through Tu Huang's eyes. That flash of gentleness when he talked about Ning Fan had nothing to do with romance, but it was much more important than romance. If it's possible, I would rather my little butterfly stay in the illusionary world forever and never walk out of it. I would rather he never understand that all his smiles are fake. They are all lies that I've lied to him. I hope that he will be happy. I don't want him to suffer. However, I'm more afraid that he will be disappointed after knowing everything. If it's possible, I'm willing to become the chain that will allow him to open his eyes and see the world clearly. I want him to never see everything clearly. However, if he really decides to return to his hometown in the true world, I'm also willing to use my tears as a key to send him home. Tu Huang did not understand what he was saying at all. She only knew that she was walking step by step towards death. She was walking towards the death that the 10 supreme wasps had prepared for her. However, even if she was going to die, she did not want her little butterfly to be schemed against by the 10 wasps because of her. That's good. It's enough to have a smile to accompany him. He definitely won't be lonely, as long as he doesn't open his eyes. What are you two talking about using telepathy? Ning Fan had cleaned up Divine Sovereign Ling's spoils of war. Then, he waved his hand to destroy the many restrictive spells in this place and conveniently released the women who were imprisoned here. Only then did he ask Tu Huang and Duolan curiously. He always felt that Tu Huang's behavior was a little strange and he was hiding something. Thus, he naturally used the mind-reading technique to pry into the thoughts of the two women. He could not see through Tu Huang's thoughts, but it was much easier for Duolan. She easily understood all of their telepathy. Every word that Tu Huang said made him feel as if he understood it, but not really. He had many thoughts in his mind, but none of them could be exposed. All of a sudden, he had a strange feeling. It was as if he was very close to Tu Huang, but at the same time, he felt like he was very far away from him. It was as if there was a thin piece of dream between the two of them. Tu Huang. Ji Qingling. Sword Ancestor. Chapter 1085. Elegant Square was the place where Supreme 10 Wasps lived in seclusion. In the past, Ning Fan had met Supreme 10 Wasps in Lioli City for the first time, and the latter had invited him to this place. Ning Fan ignored the 10 Supreme Wasps. Unknowingly, he still came to this place because of Duo Lan's matter. Even though Supreme 10 Wasps was currently trapped in the turbulent flow of space and was not in the Xiu Fang, Ning Fan still felt a little strange in his heart. However, he could not tell what it was. At this moment, he had also discovered that Tu Huang was hiding a lot of things from his words. It seemed like Tu Huang was trying to hide something from him. However, Jiang Yi could sense that Tu Huang would not harm him. Tu Huang's concealment was for his own good. He wanted to get to the bottom of it, but the Slaughter Sovereign chose to remain silent, unwilling to speak the truth. Regarding this, Ning Fan could only let out a helpless sigh and temporarily ignore the fact that Tu Huang had concealed the truth from him. While the quasi-saints of Despicable Clan were trapped in the spatial turbulence, Ning Fan planned to loot the entire clan. Then, before the demi-saints returned from the space turbulence, he made arrangements for Emperor Tu, Dolan, and the others who had deep karma with him, and left the Supreme Dan's sacred region. The sacred child of the spirit sect had already been eliminated and Duo Lan had also been rescued. Naturally, Ning Fan would not continue staying in the Xiu Fang, which made him uncomfortable. Although he had left the Xiu Fang, he did not immediately leave Lioli City. Instead, he quietly went to the Southern Medicine Temple, which was filled with water jars. Supreme 10 Bees wasn't at the Xiu Fang. Similarly, Supreme Ox Ghost wasn't at the Southern Medicine Temple either. The Southern Medicine Temple still had its refined and sophisticated appearance. The inside of the temple was a completely different world. The commotion caused by Ning Fan's arrival in Lioli City did not reach the Southern Medicine Temple at all. In the Southern Medicine Temple, only Xian Yuchun, who was wearing a mask and topless, was cooking a water jar. When Ning Fan and the others arrived, Xian Yuchun's eyes immediately became alert and he spoke to Ning Fan in a distant tone. "Who are you? Is he a friend of Senior Niu?" The senses of his medicine soul were especially sharp. He was one of the top talents in the Great Humble Clan. Even though Ning Fan and Tu Huang's cultivation base was not obvious, he could still sense the massive qi that was faintly hidden in their bodies. It was an extremely terrifying existence, and it was not something that he could contend against with his insignificant cultivation. Since this person was so powerful, it was highly likely that he had made a deal with old man Niu Gui. "You don't recognize me anymore?" Ning Fan was surprised. Then, he frowned as if he had a guess. "Should I know you? He looks familiar, but I can't remember." Xian Yuchun shook his head. His soul was split into two and he had two personalities. At this moment, it was his second personality. However, logically speaking, his second personality should already be familiar with Ning Fan. However, at this moment, he was behaving in an unfamiliar manner. It was truly strange. "I heard from Emperor Lu Tua that you're also part of Supreme Ox Ghost's scheme." Time, me. Time, one mountain time. Time. You witnessed your mother being killed by Shi Yan's volcano with your own eyes. Because of that, you have a monstrous hatred towards Shi Yan and your soul was split into two. This matter is indeed the scheme of Supreme Ox Ghost. He nurtured the Tao in your body and planted reincarnation, right? It is also because of this that your second personality clearly knows me. Now that we have met again, all of your memories have been erased by the reincarnation. Ning Fan said something that Xian Yuchun could not understand. Xian Yuchun was at a loss. Suddenly, he felt his soul tremble. He felt a pain as if his sea of consciousness was shattering. He hugged his head and squatted on the ground. His face was filled with pain. Master, You are my master. No, that's not right. My memory is blank. Who are you? Who is master? This young man seems to be Niu Gui's vessel to nurture his Tao. Ning Fan, what do you plan to do? Ning Fan sighed. Even though I've heard about Tao nurturing in some ancient books, it's my first time seeing it with my own eyes. Although I've met this young man many times, I only saw through him today. Nurturing the Tao with a human's life. Once the Tao is formed, the human will die. This Xianyu Chun has some karma with me. I can't just watch him die because of Niu Gui's scheme. If Niu Gui is still here, it's impossible for me to help this young man get rid of his scheme. However, now that he's trapped in the spatial turbulence, it's an opportunity. Even though the injuries you've accumulated from attacking the holy mountain are temporarily suppressed, you shouldn't use too much magic power. The Tao seed in this young man's body has already reached a certain level. If you save him, you'll suffer a heavy backlash and your injuries will definitely worsen. If you insist on saving him, I'll do it for you. Tu Huang said righteously. Your injuries are worse than mine, alright? I can feel a trace of death chi coming from your body. Even though it's not enough to kill an existence like you, if you don't take care of your body, your foundation will more or less be damaged. I'll do it myself. I'll settle my karma myself. Ning Fan stopped Tu Huang, who was about to help, and shook his head speechlessly. Then, he walked towards Xianyu Chun. What made him speechless was Tu Huang's lack of care for his body. He was already severely injured, but he still wanted to use his magic power recklessly. Since the trip to the Fire Soul Tower, he realized that Tu Huang did not care for his body at all. I have to change this. Xianyu Chun felt an immense pressure from Ning Fan, who was approaching him step by step. His back was drenched in cold sweat. He did not know what Ning Fan was trying to do by approaching him at this moment. His heart was on high alert. Enduring the headache, he stood up and got into a fighting stance. If it's necessary, he would resist Ning Fan. Unfortunately, as Ning Fan used the finger-pointing heavenly technique, Xianyu Chun was instantly frozen on the spot and could no longer move. Don't be afraid. I won't harm you. Of course, I'm not your master. I owe you the karma of the void renunciation tribulation. Because of your roar that day, I've gained enlightenment. Today, I'm going to return this karma to you. Ning Fan stopped walking. He waved his 5 fingers and pressed them towards Xianyu Chun's head. Xianyu Chun, who was immobilized, could not resist Ning Fan's attack. However, before Ning Fan's 5 fingers came into contact with him, he suddenly felt nauseous. As he vomited, a huge hand that was covered in white hair that was neither human nor beast actually came out from his throat. It collided with Ning Fan's 5 fingers. Ning Fan was a crippled divine spirit body. When he collided with the strange hand in his throat, he actually felt a sharp pain as if his finger bones were broken. Moreover, he was forced to take 7 to 8 steps back. It was enough to show how hard and powerful that strange hand was. After sending Ning Fan flying back, the strange hand began to extend continuously. Then, it flew out like a strange snake and slithered towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. How could he not know that this strange hand was the backup plan that Supreme Niu Gui had placed in Xianyu Chun's body to prevent someone from destroying the arrangements that he had placed in Xianyu Chun's body? Just a simple attack from a strange hand had the might of a 6th tribulation immortal emperor. Unfortunately, it was just a hand after all and not a real immortal emperor. One should know that Ning Fan had even slashed a 6th tribulation immortal emperor at his peak. Why would he be afraid of a strange hand? At the moment when the strange hand approached him, Ning Fan raised his hand and shot out a ray of black lightning. It turned into circles of black lightning ropes that tightly bound the strange hand. Its magic power was sealed, making it unable to move any closer. It was the lightning prison ropes. After that, Ning Fan took out an ancient bronze mirror that was flashing with lightning. It was the natal treasure of Lei Yun country, the first ancestor of the sound of thunder. He shone it at the strange hand. All of a sudden, a purple lightning bolt that emitted a destructive chi shot out from the mirror, turning the strange hand that was bound by the lightning prison ropes into ashes. After the strange hand was destroyed, Xian Yu Chun immediately spurted out a mouthful of black blood. However, his complexion became much rosier and his eyes became clear. They were no longer blank and blank. Many of the things that he had forgotten were slowly being recalled by him. Master! Why are you here? Why can't I move? What happened? Don't ask. Just wait for a moment. I will help you solve the problem in your body. Ning Fan suppressed the need within his body. In order to instantly kill that strange hand, he had injected too much magic power into the 2 innate magic treasures. After consuming a huge amount of magic power, the injuries that he had temporarily suppressed had worsened, causing his chi to become slightly chaotic. However, this was not a big problem. In the blink of an eye, he steadied his breathing and his chi returned to normal. Then, he raised his hand and took out a brown seed from Xian Yu Chun's body. The surface of the seed was covered with strange patterns. There was an enormous chi hidden within. It was connected to countless flesh and nerves which were connected to Xian Yu Chun's life. This is the Tao seed. It's a strange item. If you want to remove it, you must be careful. If you are not careful, you might kill Xian Yu Chun as well. Tu Huang reminded. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Ning Fan's body swayed and his body kept shrinking. Eventually, he shrunk to the size of a speck of dust. Then, he turned into a ray of light and flew into the Tao seed. After a long time, a crack suddenly appeared on the Tao seed. Then, it weathered bit by bit and turned into ashes. A ray of light flew out and landed on the ground, turning into Ning Fan. At this moment, Ning Fan's face was already pale. Obviously, he had consumed a lot of energy in order to destroy the Tao seed in Xian Yu Chun's body. Master, you... What exactly happened? The split personalities in my body have actually merged into one. Xian Yu Chun was shocked. Then, he became overjoyed. At this moment, he was neither the stupid first personality nor the cold second personality. He was the Xian Yu Chun who made a deal with Niu Gui and helped him build the vats. At the same time, he was also the Xian Yu Chun who supported Ning Fan foolishly. When the 2 souls merged into one, his strength naturally increased by a lot. Moreover, all the side effects of his soul splitting into 2 had also disappeared. I have already repaid the karma that I owed you. You have already lost the value of scheming against me. That Supreme Niu Gui will no longer scheme against you. A quasi-saint is afraid of karma like a tiger. If there isn't a sufficient price, he won't kill you. You can continue to stay here and help him build vats, or you can return to the southern border. You can decide for yourself. From today onwards, the karma between us is settled. How about this? Just in case, I will give you this item. If you send it to Supreme Niu Gui, he will owe you something. In order to pursue the 3rd step of perfection, he won't dare to bite the hand that fed him and harm you. If he wants to hate someone, he will only hate me. Ning Fan flipped his hand and took out a jade bottle. There was only a small drop of extreme yang water sealed inside the jade bottle. However, even this small drop was already extremely valuable. This item was the karma that Ning Fan had set up between Xian Yu Chun and Niu Gui. It was a temptation that Niu Gui was unwilling to give up in order to improve his cultivation base. As long as this good karma exists, Niu Gui would not dare to harm Xian Yu Chun. He would only hate Ning Fan because he had destroyed all the arrangements that Niu Gui had set up on Xian Yu Chun. What is this? Don't ask. Just give this item to Supreme Niu Gui. Then, he won't harm you. Then, the karma between us will be settled. Master, are you leaving? Xian Yu Chun gritted his teeth. Now that his 2 souls had merged into one, he was no longer an idiot. He could see that everything that Ning Fan had done for him was just to get rid of the karma between them. Before I leave, I'll tell you one last time. I'm not your master. Ning Fan felt a slight headache. He stomped on the ground and a ray of black light emerged from the ground. It carried Ning Fan, Tu Huang, and Duo Lan and flew out of Lioli City in an instant. In this way, the karma between him and Lioli City had been settled. Master. My cultivation base is low and I don't understand the word karma. I don't understand what Senior Nyogue is plotting against me. I also don't understand what you have done to help me. Even though you are unwilling to acknowledge me as your disciple, you are the only master that I will acknowledge in my life. It's my duty as your disciple to send you off. Xian Yu Chun kowtowed 3 times in the direction where Ning Fan had left. His face that was deeply buried in the ground had a hint of disappointment. Once Master leaves, I guess he won't come back anymore. I wish Master a prosperous martial arts, a bright future, and a resounding devil name. In the Great Bay clan, there were 3 Heavenly Dao gold mines and 5 Heavenly Dao silver mines. These gold and silver mines were not scattered across the Great Bay clan. Instead, they were gathered together. There were 3 gold and 5 silver mines. There were a total of 8 mines. They were like 8 heavenly dragons that were sleeping somewhere under the grassland. They were not under the grassland of the Middle State. Instead, they were under a place called the Northern Barbarian Grassland. The Northern Barbarian Grassland was one of the stronger grasslands in the entire Great Bay clan. There were many immortal venerables and immortal kings guarding this place. Even though this place was not the Middle State, there were also incomparably hard rock strata under the ground. Even a 12th Nirvana rebirth magic treasure could not break it. However, because this kind of rock strata repelled magic power, it was not suitable to be used to refine magic treasures. Instead, it was often mined by the cultivators of the Northern Barbarian Grassland to build prisons. Of course, the cost of mining such hard rocks was also extremely high. Ning Fan rode on the dark immortal cloud and left the Middle State. He flew to the Northern Barbarian Grassland. Every tribe in the Northern Barbarian Grassland felt uneasy when he flew past them. A few bold immortal venerables and immortal kings of the grassland soared into the sky, trying to stop Ning Fan's arrival. However, Ning Fan casually threw out the devil-subduing bead. All of them coughed out blood and fell from the sky. With so many treasures, no one below the immortal emperor realm could make Ning Fan treat them seriously. What made these immortal venerables and immortal kings rejoice was that even though Ning Fan injured them who tried to stop him, he did not kill them. It seemed like he did not kill passers-by who did not have deep karma with him. Besides, even though Ning Fan had arrived at the Northern Barbarian Grassland, he did not attack any of the Northern Barbarian Grassland. Instead, he kept the dark immortal cloud in a strange manner. Then, he brought Tu Huang and his 2 daughters with him and went into the underground rock strata. The reason why he came to this place from afar and went deep underground was because of the heavenly Dao gold and silver ores that were hidden in the depths of this place. Even among the immortal emperors of the Great Bay clan, only a few people knew where the gold and silver of the Great Bay clan came from. However, Duo Lan, who was the holy maiden of Chu Lai, knew about this secret. After all, among the 12 veins of the holy mountain, the responsibility of Chu Lai's lineage was to guard these heavenly Dao gold and silver ores. Why is Senior looking for gold and silver ores? Could it be that you are interested in the gold and silver of the mortal world just like the mortals of my clan? Duo Lan was very puzzled. In her impression, Ning Fan did not seem to be interested in the gold and silver of the mortals. This matter is related to a great secret of heaven and earth. I won't explain it to you. Your cultivation base is still weak. It won't be a good thing if you know too much. Ning Fan answered. Oh. Duo Lan answered obediently. Since Senior did not want to tell her, she would not ask any further. Her strong point was that she was obedient. Ning Fan carried the 2 women in each of his arms and advanced using the earth escape art while his forehead was covered with sweat. The density of the rock strata was very high. To the extent that he needed to use the earth escape art, he would need to use magic power that was several times or even tens of times that of ordinary soil. If Ning Fan was in his normal condition, he would not feel any burden. However, his current injuries were extremely severe and he had yet to recuperate. Thus, it was naturally quite difficult for him to advance. Fortunately, this difficulty did not last for too long. Under Duo Lan's guidance, Ning Fan moved stealthily in the rock strata from left to right. After a few hours, he arrived at a space that was isolated from the rest of the world in the deepest part of the ground. Only peak immortal kings could come to this place using the Earth Escape Art. If low-grade cultivators want to reach this place, they would have to be transported by experts. This place was not the seal of the two realms in the underground world. The seal of the two realms in the northern barbarian grassland was not located here. This underground world was dark and damp. There was even an underground river flowing rapidly in this place. On the banks of the underground river, there were lamps that burned brightly. The light from the flames illuminated the path that was paved with bronze stone slabs. The path extended deep and dark. Along the way, Ning Fan could see countless miners of Chu Lai's lineage who had been working here for generations. He could also see the 8 mines that had the layout of 8 sleeping dragons. Even though the miners here belonged to Chu Lai, they did not care about the affairs of the outside world. As they were deep underground, they were not aware of what was happening in the outside world. They only had one task, to mine the gold and silver mines day and night. There were more than 10,000 miners in this place. Among them, there were a few hundred auras that had reached the second step of the Immortal King realm. Besides, there was also an ancient immortal venerate named Chu Lai who was guarding this place. That ancient immortal venerate's nickname was Zishu. He had a rather high status among the immortal venerates in Chu Lai's lineage. He was one of those powerful immortal venerates who had half a step into the Immortal King realm. At this moment, immortal venerate Zishu was cultivating on one of the dragon heads of the 8 mines. When he sensed the arrival of Ning Fan's group, he immediately frowned. Every 100 years, the sacred mountain would only send someone here to collect the gold and silver mines that have been mined in the past 100 years. It seems like it is not the time to collect the mines yet. The newcomers also don't seem to be the special envoy of the sacred mountain. Who are you? Zishu's figure flashed and disappeared from the dragon head. At the next moment, he appeared in front of Ning Fan and the others. His shout immediately attracted the attention of all the miners in the area. One after another, they took out their weapons and gathered towards him. Ning Fan and the others who were walking on the bronze path were surrounded by rays of flowing light in the blink of an eye. Ning Fan glanced at Zishu indifferently and then retracted his gaze. His cultivation base was only close to the 3rd tribulation of the Eternal Era. Thus, he could not pay attention to him. The mines here did not seem to be heavily guarded as expected. Come to think of it, no one in the Supreme Pill's sacred region knew about the 2 formations of the ancient country. Who would really guard the gold and silver of the heavenly Tao as if they were treasures? It would be strange if there were immortal Emperor Realm old monsters guarding this place for a long time. What's going on? So it's the Saintess. With the help of the weak light, Zishu saw Duo Lan's appearance clearly. His expression was slightly surprised. Then, he sneered. I wonder why Saintess Duo Lan has come all the way here. The current Chu Lai Emperor seemed to have ordered that you are not allowed to get close to the mines, right? Are you planning to openly disobey your master's order? Master? Does he really treat me as his disciple? I am a dignified saintess of a lineage. My status is so respected that I can be on the same level as the immortal emperors of a lineage. Why do I need to listen to his order? Duo Lan said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Hee hee. You really talk big. This is not the tone that a saintess who has lost her power should have. Is it because you brought 2 helpers that you dare to talk to me so arrogantly? You just want to use the thick earth chi of this place to cultivate, right? Unfortunately, with me here, don't even think about taking a step into this place. I will even capture you and punish you for disobeying the order on behalf of the current Chu Lai. Zishu sneered. With a wave of his hand, countless dark golden shadows of rats flew towards Duo Lan and the others. He could not see the exact details of these rat shadows, but he could vaguely tell that they were some kind of powerful offensive abilities. If the attacks land on Duo Lan, she would certainly be severely injured or even killed with her current cultivation base. It seems like you are not Duo Lan's relative. If that's the case, I don't need to hold back. Ning Fan shook his head. He already knew that as a saintess who had lost her power, Duo Lan would be in a difficult situation in Chu Lai's faction. However, he did not expect that a random venerated immortal Chu Lai would dare to injure Duo Lan with just his cultivation base. With him around, it was naturally impossible for Duo Lan to be injured. With a flick of his sleeve, the attacks of the rat shadows that Zishu released were all forcefully kept into his sleeve without any exception. The process was indescribably easy. Zishu's expression turned pale with fright when he saw what happened. He did not expect that a young man who looked like an ordinary immortal venerated immortal would actually be so powerful. At that moment, he no longer dared to underestimate his enemy. His body swayed and countless rays of light shone from his body, turning into a 100 zhang large single-horned rat. It was his eternal true body. As soon as this eternal true body appeared, Zishu's chi broke through to the third level of eternal tribulations, making him comparable to a true third tribulation immortal king. He was an immortal venerated immortal king with excellent aptitudes. The fact that he could cultivate the eternal true body before attaining the immortal king realm was a proof of that. One should know that there were some third tribulation immortal kings who could not cultivate the eternal true body occasionally. He was an immortal venerated immortal with a bright future. If there were no accidents, he would advance to the immortal king realm step by step and walk further and further on the path of the immortal king realm. Unfortunately, he ran into Ning Fan. Ning Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense with Zishu. He raised his hand and took out the Jia Luo Monarch Devil subduing bead, causing Zishu to cough out blood. Then, he activated the Divine Thunder Mirror, and a purple thunderbolt blasted Zishu's huge body into two. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Seeing that Zishu wasn't dead yet, Ning Fan took out the Wind-Fire Cattail Fan and fanned the dying Zishu into ashes. As his magic power was depleted, he let out a cough and shook his head. Then, he kept the 3 innate magic treasures. From the moment he attacked to the moment he killed, it took less than 5 breaths of time. All the miners were terrified. None of them dared to believe that Immortal Venerate, who was so noble in their eyes, would be killed by Ning Fan in just 3 moves. Moreover, Ning Fan actually used 3 innate magic treasures. 3, it was actually 3. Even immortal emperors, reverse spirit, Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and produced a gust of wind. Under the gust of wind, each and every one of them fainted and fell to the ground. Part of their memories were forcefully erased by the reverse spirit technique. He wouldn't remember that he and Dolan had been here. It wasn't that he was afraid of others finding out about this matter. Instead, he didn't want others to know that Dolan was involved in this matter. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan moved 8 gold and silver veins away with his great ability and kept them in his incense flame world. Countless disciples of the incense flame sect excavated them for him. Mining ores was a meticulous process. It didn't require a high cultivation level, but it required a lot of manpower and resources. Of course, Ning Fan wouldn't waste his time mining them himself. He could just leave it to the disciples of the Incense Flame sect. After doing all these, Ning Fan erased all the traces of karma in this place and left with the 2 ladies. Ning Fan did not know where he could bring Tu Huang and Dolan to. He had already finished his business in the Extreme Pills Sacred Region. He would have to leave this place eventually. However, as long as the will of the saints of the Extreme Pills Sacred Region existed, he would not be able to bring the 2 ladies out of the territory of the Extreme Pills Sacred Region. They could only stay in this place. If he forcefully brings them out, they would die. However, he didn't know if the 2 ladies would once again face the dangers of the great despicable quasi-saints because of him. The only way Ning Fan could think of to protect the 2 ladies was to take away the things in their bodies that had been schemed against. Tu Huang was schemed against because of the Sword Ancestor's love. Duo Lan was schemed against because of the Sacred Maiden Mother's Yin Qi and the coordinates of the Sacred Ancient Stone Throne that she knew. As for the so-called coordinates of the stone throne, Ning Fan had completely given up on it. Even though the sacred ancient stone throne contained countless treasures, according to Great Emperor Lu Tua, this great despicable clan was full of schemes and schemes. Even the southern medicine saint who had passed away many years ago still had some arrangements left behind until today. Ning Fan still remembered the day when he won first place in the second round of the mausoleum seizing competition. At that time, the sacred ancestor's reward appeared. However, the reward was actually a scheme. After a saint died, why did he turn his will into a mountain? Why did he leave his belongings on the sacred mountain? Did he really want to share his belongings with his descendants? Didn't he die unjustly and bear a great grudge against his descendants? Then, is there something wrong with these belongings? Ning Fan voiced out the doubts in his mind and got an answer from Tu Huang. The so-called sacred ancient stone throne was indeed very problematic. The belongings of the saint inside should not be taken recklessly. The reason why Tu Huang was able to confirm this was because she had once been bold enough to enter the tomb of the saint and become the first person in the history of the sacred mountain to successfully rob a tomb. However, Tu Huang, who succeeded in robbing the tomb, chose to return all the treasures he stole to their original places before he left the tomb. It was because she found something wrong with the belongings of the saint. She did not want to become another reincarnated spirit body like the Radiant Buddha and the Death Emperor. The reincarnation of the good and evil corpses and the saint's original self-corpse. In other words, the coordinates of the sacred ancient stone throne are actually not important at all. Even if she gets it, it won't be beneficial to Chu Lai's bloodline. It's like this. If that's the case, not only will it not be beneficial for Duo Lan to keep the coordinates of the stone throne, but it will also bring harm to her. After all, many immortal emperors of the sacred mountain don't know that there's something wrong with the belongings of the saint. They are still trying their best to obtain the coordinates of Duo Lan's stone throne. Yes. So, you plan to help her, right? That's right. I can vaguely guess how you want to help her. The steps to extract the coordinates of the stone throne from the woman's memory are rather complicated. The layout of the tomb is extremely complicated. To locate the sacred ancient stone throne, you need to know the time and location. Part of the method to extract the coordinates is in the hands of the fire spirit race under the Two Worlds seal, while the other part is in the hands of the Tri-Flame race. However, the fire spirit race is also the puppet of the flame ancestor. Thus, all the methods to extract the coordinates can be used to find the Tri-Flame race. In other words, I still need to make a trip to the Tri-Flame race. There's no need for that. Who am I? I'm someone who has returned to the true world countless times. The method to extract the coordinates is considered a top secret to ordinary people. To me, however, it's just a small trick. I'll help you extract the coordinates from her memory. One day later, another piece of news spread across the grassland. Holy Maiden Chu Lai was captured by Ning Fan. All the mines that Chu Lai was in charge of were plundered by Ning Fan. Throughout the entire process, even though Holy Maiden Chu Lai resisted tenaciously, her memory was still searched by Ning Fan, and the coordinates of the sacred ancient stone throne that was sealed in her memory were taken away. There were also rumors that Duo Lan's body still had a large amount of Holy Maiden Yin Qi. However, Ning Fan forcefully copulated with her and extracted it. The whereabouts of Holy Maiden Chu Lai, who had lost her chastity and been defiled, was unknown. It was suspected that she was captured by Ning Fan and used as a human cauldron. What was strange was that Ning Fan had clearly obtained the coordinates of the stone throne from Holy Maiden Chu Lai's memory. However, he made it known to the world. Thus, almost all the ancient monsters in the grassland knew about those coordinates. Since everyone knew about it, it was no longer a secret. According to the appraisal of some ancient monsters, the coordinates were real. Instantly, the entire grassland was filled with excitement. The entire grassland fell into an uproar again because of the matter regarding the coordinates of the stone throne. However, this uproar had nothing to do with Ning Fan. At this moment, he brought Tu Huang and Duo Lan to the Tri-Flame race to pay a visit to Long San Chui. Long San Chui was an unusual species among the Tri-Flame immortal emperors. He was extremely good at hiding and staying alive. As the saying goes, a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. Long San Chui had many innate dragon nests. Many of them were even hidden so well that they could avoid the search of quasi-saints. After Long San Chui committed a huge crime on the Corpse Mountain, even the dead emperor who was possessed by the flame ancestor could not find him. If the dead emperor could not find him, the other quasi-saints would not be able to as well. The reason why Ning Fan announced the coordinates of the Stone Throne and spread countless rumors in the Middle State, ruining Duo Lan's reputation, was actually to protect her. In the eyes of others, Duo Lan, who had lost the coordinates of the Stone Throne and the Yin Qi of the Holy Maiden, had already lost her value. If she goes missing, most of them would not look for her anymore. Of course, there might still be a small number of people who did not give up on Duo Lan and wanted to find her. Thus, Ning Fan thought of Long San Chui. He planned to borrow a dragon nest from him for the 2 ladies to live in for the rest of their lives. It could avoid the search of the quasi-saints. It could avoid many schemes. Tu Huang and Duo Lan could live their lives without worries. It could let Ning Fan truly feel at ease when he left. He had asked the 2 ladies for their opinion on this matter. Both of them were indifferent to it. It was not a big deal to live in seclusion for a lifetime. To cultivators, the boring life in the cave was not a problem. On the contrary, the scheming and plotting against each other was the most annoying thing. It's not bad to live in the dragon nest for the rest of my life. In the past, I've only heard that the Chua dragon's nest can seize the fortune of heaven and earth, but I've never had the chance to see it with my own eyes. I really want to see how mysterious the rumored Chua dragon's nest is. However, I seem to have killed a Chua dragon before. Will your Chua dragon friend allow me to stay in his nest? On the dark immortal cloud, Tu Huang sat behind Ning Fan and asked with a smile. This is indeed a problem. Ning Fan sighed. He had known Long San Chui for a while, but he had always been mistaken as a member of the same clan as him. If he really treats Long San Chui as a friend, he shouldn't hide such things from him. He should at least give Long San Chui an explanation. It would be best if he could borrow the dragon nest for this trip. If he couldn't, he would look for another hidden cave in heaven and earth with his innate ability to communicate with all living things. Even though it was not as hidden as the dragon nest, it was still a place to hide. Speaking of which, Senior clearly didn't taint my innocence. Why? Why did you spread that kind of rumor in the outside world, saying that you've already? Doran blushed. As a matter of fact, even if Ning Fan really wants to pluck her and take away her mother and child Yin Qi, she would also be willing to do so. After all, she was willing to offer the child mother Yin Qi to the sacred child of the spirit sect for Ning Fan. Of course, she was also willing to offer it directly to Ning Fan. Of course, she still wanted to carry on her father's last wish of revitalizing Chu Lai's lineage. However, she cared more about Ning Fan. Even though they had only known each other for a short period of time, their feelings for each other were already very deep. Moreover, ever since she heard that even the coordinates of the stone throne that her father had left for her were being plotted against, she felt lost and lacked confidence in reviving Chu Lai's lineage. If she could offer the mother-child Yin Qi in her body to him and use it to help him spread his wings and soar to the sky, she would be very willing to do so. The only thing that made her feel shy was that if Ning Fan wanted to obtain the Yin Qi in her body, he must have intercourse with her. Oh my god. I still have to do this and that with Senior. As soon as she thought of this, she felt like her face was dripping blood. However, she was also faintly looking forward to it, and her heart was beating wildly. Of course, I spread the news to protect you. Don't think about such shameless things in your head, little girl. Ning Fan scolded her with a smile. With his mind-reading technique, Ning Fan easily saw through Duo Lan's inner thoughts of offering herself to him. He was slightly speechless. Black Devil was the same. So was Duo Lan. Oh right, there's also Zili. She is always thinking about having intercourse with him to give birth to the next generation of the Fuli tribe. Each of them is eager to have a relationship with me. What a headache. Don't the women nowadays know what it means to be reserved? Oh my. I forgot that Senior knows the mind-reading technique. It's over. My thoughts have been exposed. Duolan was so embarrassed that she wished she could dig a hole to bury herself. Tu Huang, on the other hand, could not stop laughing. He laughed at Duolan for being interesting, innocent and naive despite her worldly appearance. It was similar to her, just like her sweet smile. Ning Fan, since you have countless beauties around you, why don't you take this little girl as well? What do you think? Tu Huang said with a smile. For those who take the initiative to throw themselves at me, I don't know how to push them away. Of course, if there's one more person who throws themselves at me, I'll be even happier. Ning Fan intentionally stroked his chin and pretended to be seriously thinking about it. Are you sure you want me to throw myself at you? Tu Huang's beautiful eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking about. Don't tell me you really intend to do that. Ning Fan was surprised. He no longer joked around. Instead, he looked at Tu Huang with a strange expression, as if he was getting to know him again. I'm a virgin. Tu Huang answered seriously. So? I've cultivated for more than 80 million years. What are you trying to say? I want to taste what a man tastes like. Ning Fan was speechless towards Tu Huang's straightforwardness. Elder sister, you really dare to say anything. Duolan was also frightened by Tu Huang's straightforwardness. Deep in her heart, she faintly envied Tu Huang's straightforwardness. She envied Tu Huang's unrestrained and straightforward character, which was completely different from her own indecisiveness. She is also a virgin who has been holding back for millions of years. I also want to taste what a man tastes like. If the other party is senior. Ning Fan shamefully saw her thoughts again. Ning Fan's head hurt even more. He did not continue this topic anymore. If he does not know what kind of shocking words he would hear from Tu Huang. Riding on the black immortal cloud, Ning Fan flew all the way out of the Great Bay grassland and entered the ferocious domain continent from the border. Then, he flew all the way to the Three Flames. After keeping the black immortal cloud, he quietly sneaked into the stone flame. Unlike when he traveled across the grassland, there were still many immortal emperors in the Three Flames. He did not use the black immortal cloud to travel unscrupulously. If he did that, he would definitely be intercepted by some of the Three Flames' immortal emperors. Even though he was not afraid of them, he did not plan to fight against them for the time being. It would not be too late to fight them after he finds a suitable dragon nest. The important matter at hand was more important. In this world, there existed some blessed lands that were formed innately. They could block the detection of cultivators' spirit sense. They were the best places to establish a sect. There were definitely not many of such blessed lands. At least, Ning Fan had only seen a few of them in his entire life of cultivation. However, he had seen them repeatedly in the Great Bay tribe. It was enough to show how extraordinary the tribe was. Not far from the Sea Shaman tribe, there was a blessed land. It was the place where Wu Yen hid the spring water of the South Sea. Ning Fan used his ability to communicate with all living things and talk to the flowers and plants along the way to find it. There were quite a few blessed lands like this above the Three Flames. Basically, all of them were found by Long San Chui, who claimed to be the first original heavenly master of Three Flames, and transformed them into dragon nests. The dragon nests were transformed from blessed lands. Its concealment effect was even better than blessed lands. It could block all spirit sense detection below the third step. It was the best place to hide. If it wasn't because Long San Chui had brought him to the dragon nest in the stone flame once, he would not know that there was actually a peerless dragon nest hidden in that seemingly ordinary mountain range. Ning Fan arrived at the dragon lair of this place with great familiarity and entered it. He and Tu Huang concealed their qi. They could hide it from ordinary people, but they could not hide it from immortal emperors like Long San Chui. The arrival of the two of them gave Long San Chui a nervous feeling. The one who gave him pressure was actually not Ning Fan but Tu Huang. Tu Huang's qi was unfamiliar and powerful. It gave Long San Chui a sense of oppression, as if the heavenly might was coming. It was not inferior to the heaviness that the dead emperor gave him. Long San Chui thought that a great enemy had come and discovered his dragon nest. In his shock, he was already prepared to fight even though he was injured. However, when he realized that the person who came was actually Ning Fan, he became speechless. At the same time, he heaved a sigh of relief. What welcomed Ning Fan was an evil dragon iron fist. Brat! Are you trying to scare me on purpose? Don't you know that you should send a message to inform me before entering the cave? You're asking for a beating. I just want to scare you. I don't want you to lose your vigilance because you think that your dragon nest is peerless. Ning Fan, who would never admit that he was two-faced, said with a harmless smile. Then, he fought Long San Chui with his physical body. In the gigantic dragon nest, the two of them exchanged hundreds of punches at each other. Then, Long San Chui burst into laughter and began to welcome Ning Fan's arrival. Ning Fan was already used to Long San Chui's sudden exchange of blows. When he was holding the coming-of-age ceremony for Black Devil, he stayed at Long San Chui's place. He fought with Long San Chui almost every day. Thus, he was used to it. Ning Fan did not mind it at all. After all, it was just a joke between friends. It couldn't be any more normal. After a short exchange of blows, Long San Chui and Ning Fan's injuries worsened. However, the two of them who were open-minded obviously did not mind it at all. Long San Chui arranged a banquet of fruits in the dragon nest to entertain Ning Fan. At the same time, he asked Ning Fan about the purpose of his visit. Ning Fan told him everything without hiding the fact that Tu Huang had killed Chuolong. He could lie, but he disdained to lie to his friends. The same went for Tu Huang. He was straightforward and disdained to act pretentiously. When Long San Chui heard that Ning Fan came to stay in a dragon nest, he agreed to it without hesitation. However, when he heard that Tu Huang had actually killed Chuolong, his expression changed. Considering the friendship between him and Ning Fan, he did not lose his temper on the spot. Long San Chui cared a lot about his fellow Chuolong, otherwise, he would not have thought that Ning Fan would help him selflessly after killing Chuolong. In other words, your woman has killed my fellow Chuolong, right? Long San Chui asked in a deep voice. Yes. Ning Fan sighed and answered. In other words, you really aren't a Chuolong with only your left claw. Are you really just wearing a spiritual equipment? Moreover, the spiritual equipment is made from the bones of my fellow Chuolong? Yes. Long San Chui fell into silence. In Ning Fan's eyes, this silence was a refusal. He refused to lend the dragon nest to his mortal enemy. Ning Fan sighed even more. He thought that Long San Chui did not attack him at the first moment because of their old friendship. Otherwise, with this old man's fearless personality, he would most likely attack Tu Huang on the spot regardless of the difference in their cultivation base. If that's the case, let's leave. Ning Fan stood up from the banquet and cupped his fists at Long San Chui. Then, he turned around and left with the two ladies. Wait! Long San Chui suddenly called out to Ning Fan. When Ning Fan turned around, he was surprised to see Long San Chui tear off his left arm and blood splattered all over the ground. If Long San Chui used his magical power to protect his body and suppress the injury wouldn't be too serious. The lost body could also be slowly cultivated back. If the recovery ability of his body was strong enough, he could even be like Ning Fan and use his divine ability to regenerate his limbs at high speed for a short period of time. However, Long San Chui did not use any protective method. He really wanted to destroy his arm without suppressing the injury. Brother Long, what are you doing? Ning Fan frowned. You could have hidden it from me, but you chose not to. This is sincerity. You treated me with sincerity, so how can I not return the favor? What you owe the Chuolong clan, I will repay it for you with my arm. From now on, whether you are a Chuolong or not, you are my friend. I can lend you the dragon nest, but you have kept me in the dark for too long. You must punish me so that I can vent the anger in my heart. How should I punish you? 1,000 jars of wine. Long San Chui patted his storage pouch and a large amount of dragon saliva ancient wine appeared. The wine jars piled up like a small mountain. Then, he burst into laughter. At this moment, Ning Fan really saw the heroic spirit of Lu Wu in the past from Long San Chui. He did not have many friends. Even though Long San Chui's friendship with him was short, he was definitely one of his important friends. If I drink 1,000 jars of wine, even I will be drunk to death. But since it's a punishment, I certainly won't refuse. Ning Fan smiled. I want you to be drunk to death, only then I can vent my anger. Stinking brat. Understand? Today, I must make you drunk to death. The banquet that was originally suspended resumed. However, this time, Long San Chui did not talk to Ning Fan anymore. Instead, they both remained silent and gulped down the spiritual wine. Tu Huang was slightly speechless and suddenly interrupted. This brave man, you severed one of your arms to repay your friendship. It's indeed very heroic, but you don't have to do this. I did kill a Hui dragon before. However, the Hui dragon I killed was a traitor of your clan. At that time, it was killing its own clan members. It wasn't a good dragon. After I killed this Hui dragon, the other Hui dragons that I saved knelt on the ground to thank me. I don't think I owe your clan anything. You don't have to give me an arm just to repay me. Long San Chui, who was full of manliness, spurted out a mouthful of spiritual wine and nearly choked to death. Why didn't you say this earlier? He even severed one of his arms in order to repay Ning Fan's debt to the Hui Dragon clan. Damn it! When this arm was severed, there was no protective measure at all. After such a long time, if I reconstruct it, will there be repercussions? Damn it! You guys drink. I'm going into seclusion to reconstruct my physical body. Long San Chui no longer had the mood to drink. He ran away with a chi sound. Ning Fan was left with a strange expression. He was extremely speechless. He raised the wine jar, not knowing whether he should drink or not. That annoying old man has left. Ning Fan, let's drink by ourselves. Today, I want to prove to you that I'm serious and my alcohol tolerance is very good. Oh right, let your little lover out too. Let's drink together. Tu Huang's eyes were deep and profound. He smiled meaningfully. Since I'm going to play with men, I might as well go big. Chapter 1086. The Dragon Saliva Ancient Wine was the unique spirit wine of the Hui Dragon clan. It had the fragrance of hundreds of fruits on the first taste and the burning sensation of the west wind in the throat when drunk. If it was served in a luminous goblet, there would be the radiance of the sun and the moon shining in the goblet. It was elegant and beautiful. In terms of type, it could be considered a kind of medicinal wine. It was very beneficial for healing injuries. A single jar was very valuable, let alone 1,000 jars. If it wasn't because of the benefits of this wine, Long Three Hammers would never let the injured Ning Fan drink 1,000 jars of wine as punishment. This wine was beneficial to the injured. Although it was called a punishment, it was actually a kind gesture. Considering that Ning Fan's alcohol tolerance was limited, Long Three Hammers did not really plan to let Ning Fan drink 1,000 jars of ancient wine in one go. Firstly, he was afraid that Ning Fan would not be able to handle the nourishment. Secondly, he was afraid that Ning Fan would be drunk to death. Long Three Hammers' original intention was for him who had an unparalleled alcohol tolerance to drink around 950 jars while Ning Fan who could not handle as much as him could only drink 50 jars. This was the limit of Ning Fan's alcohol tolerance that he estimated. This limit was deliberately arranged according to the last time when Ning Fan got drunk. To a certain extent, he had actually underestimated Ning Fan's alcohol tolerance. However, Emperor Tu's seemingly unintentional words made the heroic Long Three Hammers almost choke to death on the wine. Feeling depressed, he immediately left the banquet and went into seclusion to rebuild his physical body. He was afraid that there would be repercussions if his left arm was regenerated too late. As a result, the huge banquet with a total of 1,000 jars of ancient wine was left for Ning Fan and his group to drink. That annoying old man is gone. Ning Fan, we will drink by ourselves. Today, I want to prove to you that my alcohol tolerance is very good when I'm serious. Oh right, let your little lover out so we can drink together. Emperor Tu seemed to be unintentional and suggested. Ning Fan was speechless. Why didn't you mention that you killed the Hui dragon earlier? You are helping the Hui dragon clan to get rid of evil, you didn't ask me, did you? Emperor Tu smiled innocently. He would never admit that he was deliberately making fun of Long Three Hammers. Who asked Long Three Hammers to exchange hundreds of punches with Ning Fan as soon as he entered the cave? Hee hee. My little butterfly's injuries have worsened. Shouldn't I be punished? Forget it. I will apologize to Brother Long later. Ning Fan felt a headache when facing the black-bellied Emperor Slayer. At the same time, he felt an indescribable familiarity with this kind of unpretentious Emperor Slayer. When Emperor Slayer was scheming, it gave him the feeling of being with the little demoness again. When Emperor Tu was being arrogant, he seemed to have seen Bei Xiaoman and Yu Linkong. When Emperor Tu was protecting Luo Yu, he seemed to have seen Luo Yu standing behind him. When he killed Huang Wuxie, he seemed to have seen Ji He and Mu Weiliang. Previously, he had only thought that the strange closeness and trust he felt towards the Butcher Emperor was because of the Sword Ancestor's affection. But now, he faintly felt that this was not the case. In the end, under Sovereign Tu's suggestion, Ning Fan opened up a crack in the profound Yin world and summoned Zhang Yu, Ouyang Wan, and the Black Devil who were injured during the battle on the Sacred Mountain. They then joined the banquet. Originally, he wanted to call Old Crow 8 out as well, but Emperor Tu directly threw out 2 wine jars, smashing Old Crow 8, who had just walked out of the profound Yin world's crack, back into the profound Yin world. He fell flat on his face. When Old Crow 8 was bullied, he subconsciously wanted to scold someone. However, when he saw that the thing that hit him was actually 2 jars of dragon saliva wine with overwhelming spiritual qi, he was instantly overjoyed. Saliva flowed out of his mouth and 90% of his resentment disappeared on the spot. When he looked at the person who hit him again, he was actually a half-step quasi-sage realm expert, Emperor Slayer. What a good fellow. He immediately resigned himself to the situation. Even the last trace of resentment disappeared. Instead, he began to flatter Emperor Slayer. Good luck to the new mistress. Little 8 thanks the new mistress for the reward. You may dispense with the formalities. I don't like to drink with strange men. You, continue to stay in your master's realm treasure space and drink by yourself. If it's not enough, I will give you 2 more jars. Anyway, don't disturb us. Emperor Slayer generously threw 2 more jars to Old Crow 8. Old Crow 8 immediately returned to the profound Yin world with a smile. He found a place where no one was around and began to gulp down the spiritual wine. Not long after, he was dead drunk on the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Even in his sleep, he did not blame Emperor Slayer for smashing him with the wine jars. Instead, he regretted that Emperor Slayer did not smash a few more jars so that he could get more benefits. People are so despicable. There is no cure for them. They are already beyond cure. Thus, Ning Fan was the only man left in the entire banquet. Other than him, there were also Emperor Slayer, Zhang Yu, Ouyang Wan, Duo Lan, and the Black Devil. The 5 of them surrounded Ning Fan like stars surrounding the moon. They kept urging him to drink, but of course, they could not get him drunk. The strength of the ancient wine was too strong. Ouyang Wan and Duo Lan got drunk very quickly. They leaned on the table and talked drunkenly. Then, it was the Black Devil's turn. Even though this little girl was already an adult and possessed a cultivation base comparable to a quasi-emperor, she could not withstand the alcohol and was soon knocked out as well. In the end, even Zhang Yu was drunk. Half of her clothes were undone. She was sleeping soundly at the side, but she did not talk nonsense. Even though she was usually a little brainless, her drunken state was actually the best. One of them was Ning Fan and the other one was unexpectedly Emperor Slayer. It was unknown when Emperor Slayer had sat beside Ning Fan. The two of them sat side by side. They did not talk much and just drank the ancient wine to their heart's content. The number of empty wine jars at the side gradually increased. However, both of them had an amazing capacity for alcohol. None of them got drunk. Ning Fan had comprehended the essence of wine. His capacity for alcohol was extremely strong. In fact, part of the reason why he got drunk by Long San Chui was because he wanted to get drunk. If he did not want to get drunk, he would not get drunk at all with just 100 jars of 1,000,000 years old ancient wine. What Ning Fan did not expect was that Emperor Slayer, who could get drunk with just a drop of wine in the Fire Spirit Tower, actually had such a good capacity for alcohol. She actually did not get drunk after drinking more than 100 jars of ancient wine. This gave Ning Fan a new understanding of Emperor Slayer's capacity for alcohol. It turned out that her capacity for alcohol was really not bad. The reason why she could not handle the alcohol that day was really because her strength was limited after entering the Fire Spirit Tower. How is it? I didn't lie to you, right? My capacity for alcohol is really good. Emperor Slayer's face was flushed red. Her beautiful eyes were so clear that water could drip out of them. Her red lips had the luster of the wine. Under the light, she looked indescribably beautiful. Your capacity for alcohol is really good. I have underestimated you in the past. Do you admit defeat? Yes. I've said before that I will find a chance to compete with you in terms of drinking capacity in the future. Today is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you dare to compete with me in terms of drinking capacity regardless of the consequences? Your body is still weak, you don't dare. Or are you afraid that you will be eaten by me after you get drunk? Emperor Slayer raised Ning Fan's chin and deliberately provoked him. Ning Fan smiled and shook his head. He slapped Emperor Slayer's hand away and did not answer her question. He just drank another jar of wine. After he was done, he asked, "What are you hiding from me exactly? I can feel that you don't mean any harm by hiding it from me. However, I still mind it a little and want to ask you clearly." Emperor Slayer's eyes dimmed. She did not answer him and just finished another jar of ancient wine. If she did not want to answer a question, she would not answer it even if she died. She would never tell Ning Fan about something that was about to die and cause him trouble. Ning Fan sighed and stopped asking. Then, he said again. "If you don't want to tell me, you probably have some difficulties. I won't make things difficult for you. If there's anything that I can help you with, tell me." "You can't help me. There's no need to mention this again. You just need to drink with me and get drunk with me," Emperor Slayer said with a smile. "Alright. You can't not get drunk on purpose. Alright. Awesome. This is the little butterfly that I like. Let's finish this jar. This is the one that you drank from. The rouge mark is still there, what are you afraid of? We are friends who have gone through life and death together. Is there a need to avoid this kind of thing? Hurry up and drink." 50 jars, 100 jars, 200 jars, the number of empty jars around him increased. Gradually, Ning Fan, who could not force himself to stay sober, finally felt a little tipsy. In the midst of his drunken stupor, he heard Emperor Slayer's words. "Little butterfly, if you really want to find someone in the future but you can't find her anymore, then don't look for her anymore. Promise me, oh." Ning Fan, who did not understand Emperor Slayer's words, gave him a random answer. "I hope that you won't be alone in the future. I hope that you will never open your eyes, open my eyes." "What do you mean by open my eyes?" Ning Fan was really drunk. "I really want to see the morning moon of the ancient desolate mountain with you. But there's no more chance, see. See. Go now, silly. You can't see it. The year is wrong and the location is wrong. Besides, I'm afraid that you can't see the morning moon of the ancient desolate mountain anymore. Oh, how about I perform a sword dance for you? I've never danced or used a sword in my life. However, the closer I am to disappearing, the more I can understand some things. I seem to be a sword grandmaster in the past. Come, lend me a sword. Lend me a sword. What sword? Oh. Lend me a sword. Reverse sea sword. I'll lend it to you. Ning Fan summoned the reverse sea sword and lent it to Emperor Slayer. Then, he leaned on the table and looked at a graceful figure who was walking down from the banquet and dancing with a sword in her hand. It was a very beautiful dance. It was as if all the beautiful words in the world were not enough to describe the beauty in front of him. It was as if he had seen someone holding a sword and dancing for him a long time ago. But it also felt like it was just an illusion. Emperor Slayer. Sword Ancestor. Ji Qingling, I'm the same person. He was her little butterfly. She took him away from the butterfly's hometown and brought him to the human world. He found his origin, his true origin. He felt that he had gained a deeper understanding of reincarnation. However, he was too drunk. There were many things that his mind was in a mess. He could not comprehend them and could only give up. Emperor Slayer stopped dancing without him noticing. Unknowingly, a scorching hot and soft body had crashed into his embrace. Ning Fan saw Emperor Slayer's blurred but sober eyes. At this moment, Emperor Slayer who was in his arms had no desire or love in his eyes. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so calm. However, he was guiding Ning Fan to do the most erotic things in the world. Come. Let Big Sister have a taste of you before the final moment comes. It was Emperor Slayer's voice which was filled with indescribable disappointment. A night passed. The morning light passed through some of the restrictions in the dragon nest and entered a guest room from the outside world. It was gentle and clean. In the guest room, Ning Fan woke up from his hangover with a groggy head. He was the first to wake up. He was completely naked. Beside him, there were 5 women sleeping. All of them were sleeping soundly. Their bodies were filled with all kinds of erotic marks. Ning Fan rubbed his head. In his mind, the crazy scenes of him being seduced by Emperor Slayer after getting drunk replayed one after another. He had a good impression of Emperor Slayer. When Emperor Slayer tried to seduce him, he naturally did not reject him. Instead, he took the opportunity to press Emperor Slayer on the table. However, the problem was, in the beginning, he was just having sex with Emperor Slayer. However, halfway through, other women actually joined them in a daze. It was unknown when the 2 of them who were panting on the table joined Ouyang Nguan, making it a 1-on-2 situation. It was fine if it was Ouyang Nguan. Ning Fan had done it with her before. So, it did not matter to him. He was the successor of ancient chaos. It was not difficult for him to fight against 2 people at the same time. However, Zhang Yu also joined them in a daze. Alright. Zhang Yu was his cauldron. He would have to pluck her sooner or later. It did not matter to him if he plucked the fruit earlier. However, why did Duolan also get affected by the alcohol and make the wrong decision to take off her clothes and join in? There was also the Black Devil. This little fellow had just reached adulthood, but she actually also joined in. However, this little thing's waist is really strong. She's really wild. I can't even hold her down. Looking at the 4 streaks of red on the bed, Ning Fan held his forehead forcefully. When he turned his head, he saw Emperor Slayer's harmless smile. Her black hair spread out like a waterfall. Is this your motive for chasing away the men and leaving only the women to drink with me? Don't you think this scene is too messy? Ning Fan was speechless. I've said it before. I've been holding myself back for 80 million years. Don't underestimate the thirst of an old virgin. Besides, I like liveliness. It's fun to have more people. I'm very curious about how the others will feel when they wake up. Are you very happy? I'm indeed very happy to whore you. It feels good. Whore. Hee hee. If that's the case, you will regret it. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a faint light. Emperor Slayer's delicate collarbone and her body that seemed to be hidden under the blanket made him want to punish her again. At this moment, Emperor Slayer was not an illusory puppet in his eyes. She was not a lofty half-step quasi-saint. She was just a sword ancestor, an ordinary woman named Ji Qingling, hiss. What are you trying to do? Why did you come in again? You clearly did it many times last night. How can you still? Emperor Slayer was pressed down on the bed. She let out a cry, but her words were blocked by Ning Fan's lips and tongue. Then, she panted intermittently and could no longer speak. The beast in Ning Fan's heart was released by her. Then, she should be responsible for it. Ji Qingling. As a result, the sounds of sex lasted from early morning until noon. When the other women woke up one by one, they were soon involved in the battle again. In the end, as the only victor, Ning Fan put on his clothes and walked out of the guest room with a flushed face, leaving the 5 women who were defeated on the bed and fell asleep due to exhaustion. Since it had already happened, Ning Fan certainly would not pretend to regret it. After all, everyone was willing to do it. Besides, he had not done it for a long time. To be honest, it felt really good. In the end, he even used the dual cultivation method, allowing all the participants to gain a lot of benefits from this indulgence. As for the injured women, except for Ouyang Nguan, their injuries were greatly alleviated because of the dual cultivation method. After all, it was their first time doing it. Naturally, the effect of the dual cultivation method was very effective. When Duolan entered the room, Ning Fan took the opportunity to plant a sub-relic in his body. His cultivation base improved tremendously. However, due to his lack of comprehension, Ning Fan temporarily suppressed his breakthrough. Of course, Ning Fan was the one who gained the most benefits. Emperor Slayer was just an illusory puppet. It did not increase Ning Fan's cultivation base. However, Zhang Yu was a genuine immortal emperor. It was Ning Fan's first time dual cultivating with an immortal emperor. Naturally, he gained a lot of benefits. Unfortunately, his divine demon cultivation had reached its limit. His tribulation blood cultivation base could not improve because of the lack of cultivation methods. As a result, the benefits of dual cultivation could not be used on his cultivation base. Instead, they went into Ning Fan's physical body, primordial spirit and sea of consciousness, causing the strength of his divine spirit crippled body to improve significantly. Because of the indulgence, more than half of the saintess's yin qi in Duolan's body was absorbed into Ning Fan's body. As for the remaining half, it was still in Duolan's body. It actually showed signs of giving birth to an embryo. However, it was just a sign. According to common sense, the yin qi in the saintess's body would forcibly form an embryo if she had intercourse with a man, since she was soaked in the mother pool since young. Perhaps it was because Ning Fan had killed too many people, or because Ning Fan's cultivation was not allowed by heaven and earth. In short, it was extremely difficult for him to have children. The embryo in Duolan's body clearly showed signs of forming, but it stopped. Instead, it dispersed into yin qi and went into every inch of Duolan's physical body. Ning Fan already knew that it was difficult for him to have children. However, he still did not expect it to be this difficult. Even the mother pool's yin qi could not give birth to his children. As a result, the yin qi in Duolan's body was completely used up. It coincided with the rumor that Ning Fan had spread across the grassland. Duolan had really been sullied by Ning Fan. While this matter brought Ning Fan benefits, it would also increase Duolan's cultivation base rapidly in the near future. After all, the yin qi had already gone into every inch of Duolan's body. Of course, it would take Duolan many years of arduous cultivation before she could fully absorb the enormous amount of yin qi in her body. Originally, the yin qi in Duolan's body was enough for her to cultivate all the way to the immortal emperor realm. After Ning Fan absorbed more than half of it, it was only enough for her to cultivate to the immortal king realm. Moreover, this kind of yin qi plundering did not mean that one could obtain a unit of yin qi just by taking it away. Plundering yin qi was not a good thing. There was a huge consumption during the conversion of energy. In fact, what Ning Fan obtained was only 1/10 of what Duolan lost. It was just like how it was impossible for a person to grow back 100 kilograms of meat after eating 100 kilograms of meat. It was also impossible for one to directly attain the immortal emperor realm after plucking an immortal emperor woman. Ning Fan felt a little guilty. He had taken away Duolan's opportunity to cultivate to the immortal emperor realm when he was drunk. In the future, he should compensate her more. When he reaches the peak of the second step, it should not be too difficult for him to help Duolan and the other women become immortal emperors. As for the yin qi that Ning Fan absorbed, he stored it in his body for the time being without refining it. After all, his cultivation base could not continue to improve for the time being. If a divine, demon, or devil cultivator breaks through the bottleneck in one of their cultivation bases, this amount of yin qi would be enough to raise the cultivation base of a newly advanced immortal venerable realm directly to the level of one eternal tribulation. Only when it was almost night did the exhausted women wake up one after another. They changed their clothes and walked out of the guest room. Except for Tu Huang, the rest of them more or less had uneasiness and embarrassment on their faces. There was no other reason. A man and 5 women slept together. This scene was simply too messy. These women were not prostitutes. How could they not feel ashamed? Ning Fan's strength was limited. Even though it was 1 against 5, he could only hold down one of them. As for the other 4 women, they would usually hug each other in pairs. After such indulgence, the women were more or less embarrassed. From the banquet to the guest room, their path was littered with the torn clothes of men and women. Unknown liquids. It was enough to show how crazy it was last night. It made the women feel even more ashamed. Even Ouyang Nuan, who was already used to having sex with Ning Fan, felt slightly embarrassed. She definitely would not agree to join forces with the other women to have sex with Ning Fan again. Because she was thin-skinned. Because of her sense of shame. However, when she was drugged by alcohol and was half-conscious, she actually did not reject that kind of sex. After all, Ning Fan was the only man who could do it. No. I can't just drink alcohol in the future. Even if I do, I can't drink such strong liquor. My husband, I am going to go into seclusion in the profound yin world first. My injuries are still not good. In the future, remember to drink less. It's bad for your body. Ouyang Nuan's ears were burning. She asked Ning Fan to open up the profound yin world and hurriedly left the scene. Little Li. Cough. Little man, I'm also going back to train my physical body. Remember, even though I did that with you, I'm not your cauldron. I'm a dignified ancient great emperor. Zhang Yu, who had quietly changed his name, also ran away. However, his walking posture was a little awkward. After all, his lower body hurt. Yesterday, he was heavily injured by Ning Fan's flames. Master, can I go back and nurture the baby? I have a feeling that after mating with you this time, I will definitely give birth to a little 9th fox. I must make good use of the liquid that you injected into me. Wasting is the original sin. The black devil, who was dreaming of giving birth to the next 9th fox, happily returned to the profound yin world. However, Ning Fan knew that it was difficult for him to have children. The chances of this little girl giving birth to a little 9th fox was close to 0. In the end, she would most likely be disappointed. Senior. I'm sorry. What happened to us? Duolan was actually apologizing. Ning Fan's face reddened. It seemed like the one who should apologize was him. He had taken advantage of Duolan. Now, her neck was still full of red marks from his bites. Alcohol is really harmful. I'm not worthy of being your senior. From today onwards, don't call me senior. But I want to call you senior, then, do as you wish. The yin qi in your body has already dissolved. I even planted a seed relic in your body. Your cultivation base has improved a lot. Go into seclusion early to absorb these benefits. But I want to take a bath first. It's so sticky down there. There's also something flowing. Duolan explained embarrassedly. There was no way this conversation could continue. No matter how they talked, they could not get back to this topic. Then, you should go and take a bath first. After taking a bath, I want to rest for 2 days. I can't sleep with you tonight. It's too painful. All right. Have a good rest. It was unknown whether Duolan really wanted to take a bath or she wanted to hide from Ning Fan for 2 days because she was embarrassed. Anyway, she ran back to the guest room to boil water and took a bath. After that, she disappeared. In the end, only Tu Huang, who had been smiling without saying anything, was left beside Ning Fan. Don't you need to find an excuse to sneak away? You are the one who was punished the most by me. Besides, you and I have been so intimate in just one night. Now that we are looking at each other, don't you feel awkward? Ning Fan looked at Tu Huang, who was so relaxed, and said speechlessly. There's no need for that. I have a thick face. Besides, I don't feel any pain. It's indeed a little sticky. But before I came out, I had already cleaned it. There's nothing flowing out. My lower body is still a little swollen. However, with my Immortal Emperor Realm recovery ability, it's only a matter of time before I recover. It won't affect me when I fight again. It's just that my waist is a little sore and my legs are a little numb. Who asked you to keep raising my legs so high? Besides, every time you did it too deep. Alright. You don't have to explain in such detail. Do you want to fight again? Fight again. Can your body take it? A battle of that level is really not worth mentioning to me. Besides, even if I can't take it, I still want to whore to my heart's content. It's rare to meet a male cauldron with a strong physique. No matter what, I have to whore to my heart's content. Whore to my heart's content. You actually dare to say that? Ning Fan's eyes turned dark. Yes. Whore is you. Ah. Wait. You're really going. I don't want it anymore. Put me down. Ning Fan. How dare you? Hiss. It hurts. It's too late. Since you want to whore, I'll let you whore to your heart's content. A few days later, Long San Chui, who had regrown his left arm, came out of seclusion to look for Ning Fan. As soon as he saw Ning Fan, he noticed that Ning Fan's face looked refreshed. When he glanced at Sovereign Tu and Duolan, who were behind Ning Fan, he discovered that the primordial yin in their bodies were no longer there. He immediately understood why the red glow on Ning Fan's face came from. He patted Ning Fan's shoulder in admiration. What impressed him the most was that Ning Fan could even push down Sovereign Tu, who was at the half-step quasi-saint realm. He's truly a role model for my generation. Brother Ning, you really have a lot of luck with women. However, you're not bad yourself. Ever since you gave me an innate sacrificial treasure, I secretly spread the news. There are already a few female Hui dragons who are willing to become my Dao companions in exchange for the sacrificial treasure. Unfortunately, those female dragons don't have high cultivation bases. However, they are very handsome. Their skin is dark, their bodies are round and their butts are big. They can definitely give birth to a bunch of little Hui dragons with excellent bloodlines. Dark skin, round body, and big butts. Are they really good looking? Ning Fan was a little doubtful about Long San Chui's aesthetics. After all, he was a Hui dragon and not a human. It was understandable for him to have a strange aesthetic. When Long San Chui stopped laughing, he sighed. Sigh. Unfortunately, weddings in my Hui dragon clan are extremely complicated. I still need to prepare for dozens of years before I can hold a wedding banquet. By that time, I'm afraid Brother Ning will have already left the sacred region and won't be able to attend my wedding. I still have something to do in the Eastern Heaven. I have to go back early. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it in time for Brother Long's wedding. This is the last time the Extreme Pill sacred region will be opened. After Brother Ning leaves, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for us to meet again in the future. Long San Chui sighed even more heavily. He had no friends in his life and Ning Fan was the first one he had a good temper with. When he thought that they would not be able to meet again in the future, he could not help but feel a little sad. Brother Long, you don't have to sigh. On the surface, this Extreme Pill sacred region only has one realm beast passage. It can lead to the outside world. However, there might be other hidden passages in the dark. I don't believe that old monster de Bay doesn't have a backup plan for this matter. If I still want to come to the extreme Pill's sacred region one day, I will find a way. Ning Fan comforted him. In the end, Long San Chui completely gave Ning Fan this dragon nest which was located at the Stone Flame Realm. He then left and went to a dragon nest in the Wood Flame Realm to settle down. The few female dragons that he found as his fiancées were all in the Wood Flame Realm. Naturally, they would need to live there. Instead of leaving this dragon nest to waste, it was not a bad idea to give it to Ning Fan. After Long San Chui left, only Ning Fan, Duo Lan, and Tu Huang were left in the empty dragon nest. After Ning Fan left, only Tu Huang and Duo Lan were left to live in this place. At this moment, Ning Fan deeply felt that his strength was not enough. If he had the strength to flatten the wills of the saints in this world, the two women could leave the extreme Pill's sacred region with him. After leaving, they would not be cursed by the saints' wills and die bit by bit. Cultivation base was not everything. However, it was indeed impossible to not have cultivation base. He also could not stop and stay here with the two women. He had too many things to do. He must complete them and he could not slack off. A few more days passed. Ning Fan set up many formations to isolate karma in the dragon nest, increasing its level of concealment. He also left many items for Tu Huang and Duo Lan. As a result, the day of his departure finally arrived. The inside of the cave was warm in winter and cool in summer. However, the outside of the cave was covered with dark clouds and the autumn wind was bleak. In the bleak autumn wind, Ning Fan originally made up his mind to leave directly without looking back. However, when he reached the entrance of the cave, he stopped and turned around to tell the two women. When my cultivation base is high enough, I will bring you two out of the extreme Pill's sacred region. Before that, you two will stay in this dragon nest and wait for me. If it's not necessary, don't go out to avoid being detected by the quasi-sage de Bay. However, as long as you stay in this dragon nest, those quasi-sages won't be able to find you. Senior, don't worry. Duo Lan is planning to find a safe place to enter seclusion and refine the enormous amount of yin qi that has dispersed into my body. I don't plan to leave this dragon nest for tens of thousands of years. This place is very good. Duo Lan will wait here for your return. The next time you come to me, I will certainly be an ancient cultivator. Duo Lan said to Ning Fan with a dejected expression. She was reluctant to part with Ning Fan but she did not ask him to stay in the end. Will there really be a day when we meet again? She was doubtful. What she doubted was not Ning Fan but the possibility of the extreme Pill's sacred region entering again. Alright, Ning Fan. You should leave quickly. When your cultivation base is high enough, come back and take Duo Lan away as soon as possible. Don't let her wait here for too long. Tu Huang's heart was filled with an indescribable sense of loss but his expression was as usual. There was not a single trace of sadness in his expression. It was as if he was cold and emotionless. Only Duo Lan. Don't I need to come back and fetch you? No need. Do you want to stay here forever? That's fine too. When my cultivation base is high enough to the point where even those quasi-sages of de Bay won't dare to scheme against you, it's fine even if you want to stay here. At that time, they won't dare to do anything to you. I believe that you will be strong enough to reach that level. However, if possible, I hope that you won't force yourself too much just to cultivate. Besides, after reaching the peak of the second step, don't ever try to cultivate to the third step again. Why? Ning Fan was surprised. You are a Ji cultivator. To you, the third step is a painful choice. I don't want you to suffer. Besides, the qualification of your race shouldn't be enough for you to become a saint. In this world, the vast expanse butterfly is a race that has difficulties in becoming a saint. As for you, you are a vast expanse butterfly with an ordinary bloodline who has cultivated the Ji Dao. If the difficulty of becoming a saint for an ordinary person is 1, the vast expanse butterfly's difficulty is 10. As for you, It's 100, 1,000 or even 10,000. It's actually so much more difficult for me to become a saint compared to ordinary people. Ning Fan was surprised. After a moment of silence, he shook his head and said, "To me, becoming a saint is still too far away. I don't plan to think about it for the time being. However, if I really reach that step, I think I will give it a try no matter what. I want to know what the third step is like. I'm sorry. I probably won't accept your suggestion." You can decide for yourself. If becoming a saint can make you happy, I will do my best to help you. However, my strength is limited. I'm afraid that it won't work even if I help you. After all, even I couldn't reach that step in the past. Since ancient times, there have been countless geniuses who died on the saint path. As for the fourth step, saints are actually just ants. Ordinary people will hunt large animals for food, but they won't eat microorganisms to fill their stomachs. If you can't reach the peak, I'd rather you be an ordinary person. At least, you'll be safe. The third step is a battle of foundation. This is exactly what you lack the most. Tu Huang smiled bitterly. What are you talking about? I don't really understand. Ning Fan shook his head. He knew that Tu Huang was talking nonsense again. This was the doing of the sword ancestor's true emotion in Tu Huang's body. During this period of time, Ning Fan had been studying it repeatedly. However, he still could not find a way to remove the sword ancestor's true emotion for Tu Huang. Only by using the same method as the Radiant Buddha and the others, which was to destroy Tu Huang's cultivation base, would there be a possibility for him to remove the sword ancestor's true emotion. Tu Huang firmly objected to having his cultivation base destroyed. After considering that the safety of the dragon nest was not a problem, Ning Fan did not insist on removing the sword ancestor's true emotion. As long as Tu Huang does not leave the dragon nest and keep the sword ancestor's true emotion, no one would be able to find it and scheme against him. Do you have anything else to say? Nothing. Hurry up and leave. Well then, I'm leaving now. You two take care of yourselves. Ning Fan turned around and walked out of the cave in large strides. Without turning his head, he waved his hand at the two ladies. Very soon, he was nowhere to be seen. Duolan felt even sadder. She kept sighing. Tu Huang did not sigh. However, his eyes dimmed slightly, as if they would never see each other again after this parting. A long time after Ning Fan left, she finally stopped suppressing the death qi in her body. The redness on her face that was created by the illusion technique disappeared. It was replaced by paleness and weakness. Sister Qingling, what happened to you? Why is there so much death qi coming out from your body? What exactly happened to you? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Have your injuries worsened? Duolan panicked. Don't worry. It's just a normal process of birth, aging, illness, and death. Originally, I should have dissipated a few days ago. However, I was afraid that the little butterfly would find out about it. Hence, I forced myself to stay alive for a few more days. This is already my limit. I can't hold on any longer. After I die, you will need to live alone in this dragon nest. Tu Huang's face was pale, but his smile was serene and contented. She was just an illusory puppet. She was not real. She was just an illusion. Moreover, she was an existence that was even more fake than the people of the Yin world in the illusory world. Her life and death were all under the control of 10B's supremacy. What kind of Tao did she cultivate in this life? It was just the experience and cultivation base that 10B's supremacy had arranged for her. Her emotions were all fake. However, after meeting Ning Fan, she finally felt the truth behind the facade for the first time. The closer she was to death, the more complicated memories would appear in her mind. Those memories originated from the true feelings of the sword ancestor in her body. They originated from the true world and the days and nights when she was still the sword ancestor. In those memories, she would never smile. She would always have a cold expression on her face, and her sword would always accompany her. Until one day, there was finally a little butterfly who was more important than her life by her side. I'd rather die than let 10B's supremacy scheme against my little butterfly. Hee hee. This time, 10B's supremacy is going to miscalculate. That was Tu Huang's resolute and firm voice. Through the trace of illusory connection in her body, his voice was transmitted from this place to the 1,000 layers of void space that was countless kilometers away. In the depths of the turbulent flow of space, 5 quasi-saints were fighting each other. They were fighting for the 3 treasures which were the formation diagram of the ancient country, the extreme yang water and the wooden box that could open the qi refining array. It was extremely difficult to determine the winner in a battle between quasi-saints. Moreover, there were 5 quasi-saints here. After 10 days of fighting, they still could not decide who would get the 3 treasures. Among them, the Radiant Buddha and the Death Emperor had already joined hands. They had no choice but to fight each other because they were the only ones who obtained their quasi-saint cultivation base through reincarnation. The biggest disadvantage of a reincarnated spiritual body was that it could not last for long. Every time they used their cultivation base, they could only maintain it for a very short period of time. Most of the time, they had to use their original cultivation base of half-step quasi-saints to fight against other quasi-saints. They could not gain the upper hand at all. Only by joining hands could they have a slight chance of winning. Among the 3 treasures, the formation diagram of the ancient country was snatched by Supreme Ox Ghost. As they were fighting each other all along, they did not have time to distinguish the real one. Daoist Baizu also did not have time to check the heaven-opening wooden box. As for the extreme yang water, it was snatched by Supreme 10Bs. Even though these 3 quasi-saints each had their own gains, they still wanted to snatch other people's treasures. Thus, they did not leave the turbulent flow of space in a hurry. Instead, they continued to fight each other. On the surface, Supreme 10Bs was still fighting for the 2 formations of the ancient country and the wooden box after obtaining the extreme yang water. However, deep inside his heart, he was extremely disdainful of these 2 treasures. It was because she was different from the other quasi-saints. Only she knew that the 2 formations of the ancient country and the wooden box that Ning Fan threw out were fake. As for the extreme yang water, it was actually the real thing. That was why she managed to snatch it. Interesting. This is really interesting. These few old things have no idea that 2 of the 3 treasures are fake. The biggest benefit is actually in my hands. This extreme yang water seems to have been obtained from the well of vexation at the bottom of the Yellow Spring Sea. What an incredible vast butterfly. Even I can't reach the bottom of the Yellow Spring Sea, but this young man can actually come and go as he pleases. Moreover, he actually obtained this item from the bottom of the sea. Unfortunately, this young man is still in my trap after all. When he discovers that Ji Qingling is about to die, he will certainly come and beg me. At that time, I will try to obtain his butterfly seed. The butterfly seed of the vast butterfly is extremely valuable. It is a supreme treasure to my spirit-devouring bee clan. Calculating the time, the sword ancestor's puppet should be about to die soon. I've fought with these old farts for a long time. It's about time for me to find a passage and leave. It won't be easy for those old farts to leave this chaotic space. However, for someone like me who has been preparing for this since 80 million years ago, it won't be difficult for me to leave this chaotic space. Supreme 10Bs wore a pure and holy smile like a lotus flower on her face. Her movements were graceful as she fought against the other quasi-saints. However, all of a sudden, she could no longer smile. Her unchanging pure and holy smile actually revealed a trace of ferocity for the first time. Damn it! The sword ancestor's puppet actually used all its means to prevent the vast butterfly from knowing that she is about to die. I miscalculated. Damn you, sword ancestor's puppet. Ji Qingling, you bastard. Do you think that you can stop me from scheming against your butterfly Dao companion with just this little trick of yours? Don't even think about it. Supreme 10Bs waved her hand. Divine light burst out and her chi was instantly released from the suppression, rising all the way to the level of an ancient great cultivator. This was her true cultivation base. If she hadn't miscalculated, she definitely wouldn't have rashly released the seal on her cultivation base. Once the aura of an ancient great cultivator spread out, it directly shook the other quasi-saints to the point where they coughed up blood and retreated. Then, she took a step forward, and circles of golden ripples appeared under her feet. Her figure then faded into the ripples, directly tearing apart heaven and earth, disappearing from this chaotic space without a trace. Hiss! The other 4 quasi-saints wiped away the blood and sucked in a breath of cold air, greatly shocked. Clearly, they hadn't expected Supreme 10B's true cultivation base to be that of an ancient great cultivator. Moreover, she could directly leave the chaotic space in the 1,000-layer void. None of them could do this. Damn it! That damned bee actually hit herself so deeply. If she had this kind of cultivation base and ability, how could she have been suppressed by the Southern Medicine old man in the past? Could it be that the suppression in the past was just to numb us? Has she been hiding since then? What exactly is she scheming? An ancient great cultivator. Impossible. That damned bee isn't an ordinary quasi-saint. She is actually an ancient great cultivator. I don't believe it. The spirit-devouring bee clan of the true world was stripped of their qualification to produce an ancient great cultivator because they had committed a serious crime. In the current era, it's impossible for this clan to produce an ancient great cultivator. How could that damned bee have reached this level? Could it be that this damned bee had already cultivated to the level of an ancient great cultivator before the spirit-devouring bee clan was punished? Cries of surprise rang out simultaneously. However, Supreme 10B's was destined to not care about these cries of surprise. She traveled through the void and returned to the outside world. As soon as she returned, she used Karma Search to search for Ning Fan and Tu Huang's whereabouts. However, she naturally couldn't find them. Her expression immediately turned cold. I can't find Ji Qingling's whereabouts. I also can't find the whereabouts of that vast expanse butterfly. However, as a spirit-devouring bee, I can feel that the vast expanse butterfly hasn't left this world yet. My stomach is still secreting gastric juice. This is the proof. Even though I can't find you, I can make my voice spread throughout this world and enter your ears. Ji Qingling, oh Ji Qingling, you want to hide it from your little butterfly and not let her know that you're on the verge of death. However, I will let her know that you're hiding it from her. I will make her fall into my trap and turn her into my food. Ning Fan left San Yan and the inner area of the extreme Dan sacred region, heading towards the outer area. With Long San Chui's dragon nest, he was not worried about the safety of Tu Huang and Duo Lan. His only regret was that he couldn't bring the 2 women along with him. There was also a trace of unexplainable worry lingering in his heart, unable to get rid of it. The closer he was to leaving the extreme Dan sacred region, the more he felt that there was something unfinished. That feeling did not seem to be an illusion, but he could not explain it clearly. Is there anything else that I haven't finished in this extreme Dan sacred region? My purpose of coming to the extreme Dan sacred region has been fully accomplished. It seems like I haven't forgotten anything. Ning Fan suppressed the distracting thoughts in his mind and flew all the way to the spatial node of the extreme Dan sacred region. As long as he leaves through this spatial node, he could return to the eastern heaven. As long as he takes a step out of this spatial node, he would truly bid farewell to the extreme Dan sacred region. However, just as he took half a step, a woman's voice reverberated throughout the entire extreme Dan sacred region. This was Supremacy 10 Wasp's indiscriminate voice transmission. As long as Ning Fan was still in this world, he would definitely be able to hear it. Vast expanse butterfly. Ji Qingling is about to die, but you actually don't know about this. If you want to save her life, come and find me. Use your lowly life to exchange for her life. Her tone was filled with indescribable disdain. Even though she had been plotting against Ning Fan for many years, she seemed to look down on Ning Fan's vast expanse butterfly bloodline. Clank Ning Fan's eyes widened. In an instant, he understood the source of the empty feeling in his heart. In an instant, he figured out what Tu Huang was hiding. It turned out that she was about to die. However, she did not tell him. However, she suppressed her death chi, squeezed out a smile and made love with him. In the past, his feelings for Tu Huang had nothing to do with romance. Today, however, this feeling was no longer pure. It was tainted with romance and romance. However, it was not just romance. There was something more important than romance. He only needed one step to leave the extreme Dan sacred region. However, Ning Fan forcibly stopped. He was not leaving. He wanted to find Tu Huang and ask him clearly. All the living beings in the extreme Dan sacred region heard Supreme Tenbi's voice transmission. Even Tu Huang, who was in the dragon nest, also heard Tenbi's voice. His expression changed drastically. After that, he was enraged. He was enraged because Tenbi still did not give up. Even at this moment, he still wanted to take Little Butterfly's life. This anger was the same as when the Sword Ancestor's skeleton talked about Tenbi's. If there was a reverse scale in the Sword Ancestor's life that he would never allow others to touch, that reverse scale would be Little Butterfly. Her originally weak and dying body seemed to be burning forcefully at this moment, forcefully producing strength. Tu Huang regained her strength. She gently pushed away Duolan, who was supporting her, and stood still. She inspected her body with surprise. However, when she realized that it was the Sword Ancestor's true love that was burning in her body that provided her with energy, she understood. This was not the power that she used on her own accord. This was the power of true love that she sacrificed herself for Little Butterfly's safety. She no longer hid in the dragon nest. Instead, she gave Duolan a reminder and quickly flew out. Duolan, stay here and don't go out. Wait for the day when Little Butterfly comes to pick you up. As for me, I need to do something. I need to use this illusory body to eliminate some great enemies for Little Butterfly. In the future, I hope that all of you can replace me and accompany him by his side. All of you are my smiles. Every smile is unique. All of you are the memories of being together with Little Butterfly. Only all of you can make him happy. Duolan was shocked and wanted to stop her. She was completely unaware of the situation and did not understand the meaning behind Tu Huang's words. However, Tu Huang had already flown out. She would not turn back. Duolan alone could not stop her. The Slaughter Empress's illusory body was burning, and her emotions were pounding. Her cultivation base was far below that of Paragon 10 wasps, and yet, she was filled with the desire to wipe out 10 wasps, who had plotted against her Little Butterfly. No one is allowed to hurt her Little Butterfly. Even if you are the ancient 10th spirit of the Zi-Do immortal region appointed by immortal sovereign Zi-Do. If she could not let Little Butterfly leave in peace, she must at least let him leave safely. If the gods and devils hurt her Little Butterfly, she will kill them all. If the immortal sovereign hurt her Little Butterfly, she will point her sword at the immortal sovereign. Ancient 10th spirit. You schemed against my Little Butterfly. I will never forgive you. Never. 10 bees who were flying around the entire extreme Dan sacred region in search of Ning Fan suddenly felt a chill down their spines. The moment Sword Ancestor's voice entered her ears, 10 bees who had already activated his ancient great cultivation base coughed out blood without any warning. He was actually injured by Sword Ancestor's words. What is Sword Ancestor? Every word, every sentence, and every look in his eyes could be turned into sword techniques to kill his enemies. This was not the sword technique of words, nor was it the law of words. It was also not the application of Tao intent, Tao power, Tao law, or Tao source. Above the Tao source, there was a power that only third-step saints could possess. That kind of power was different from the Tao source. It was unique, and it was impossible for 2/3 step saints to possess it at the same time. That kind of power was beyond the Tao source. It was called Tao orthodoxy. Sword Ancestor's words contained the power of Tao orthodoxy. It could be turned into a sword of Tao orthodoxy. Its power was unfathomable. Some of the weaker ancient great cultivators did not even have the qualifications to withstand a single sentence from Sword Ancestor. This was the power of the #1 immortal emperor in the desolate ancient immortal region. This was the reason why a second-step saint could sever the corner of a fourth-step cultivator's robe and shock the three realms. Impossible. Your sword ancestors' emotions were sealed by me with the ancient seal of the worship spirit sect. How could it be unsealed? How could you have the power comparable to when you were at your peak? Supreme Being 10B was scared out of his wits. His entire body was trembling. Under his fearful gaze, a graceful woman in a green robe tore open the sky and walked out. No, no. She was not unsealed. She was burning the remaining reincarnation. She was paying the price of completely wiping out sword ancestors' emotions in exchange for a short period of peak power. You're crazy. Do you have to give up your last hope of reincarnation for a little butterfly with an ordinary bloodline? You should know that even today, the desolate ancient immortal emperor still has a trace of mercy for you. Otherwise, the person who was sent to kill you back then would not have been a piece of trash like Medicine Saint Nan. It would most likely be Saint Nirvana or even Saint Desolate. As long as you keep a trace of your emotions intact, as long as you bow down to the desolate ancient immortal emperor and admit your mistake, he will be willing to take you back to the desolate ancient immortal region. After all, you are a second-step saint with Tao orthodoxy. You have the potential to become a saint without merit. If you wipe out your last trace of emotions, you will never have the hope of reincarnation. Stop. Reincarnation. Without the little butterfly, what reincarnation do I want? What immortality? If fate dictates that I can't live and die with him, my only wish is to die in his place. Let him live on in my place. Lunatic. Lunatic. Just for an ordinary boundless butterfly. You actually did this. It's because of your unreasonable behavior that the desolate ancient immortal emperor entrusted me to kill that weak butterfly in the 9 heavens 10 earths. If not, why would I, the dignified 10th spirit of the ancient era, care so much about a trash butterfly? Noisy. Tu Huang's beautiful eyes shot out 2 beams of divine light that turned into sharp swords and directly cut Tenbi Supreme's body into 2. The aftermath even penetrated through heaven and earth, penetrating through millions of layers of void, causing the entire extreme Dan sacred region to become unstable and shake violently. At this moment, all the flying swords in the entire extreme Dan sacred region no longer listened to their master's restrictions. They turned into streams of light and gathered towards Tu Huang as if they were on a pilgrimage. Almost in the blink of an eye, the sound of swords spread throughout the entire extreme Dan sacred region, causing there to be no second sound in the entire world except for the sound of swords. Damn it! Is this woman trying to destroy the extreme Dan sacred region? Stop her. We can't let her destroy the entire extreme Dan sacred region. The remaining 4 ancestral Thunder Sparrow heavenly Tao souls felt fear. The aura that Tu Huang emitted was clearly only at the second step, but the sense of threat it gave them was even more terrifying than that of Medicine Saint Nan who had built the extreme Dan sacred region back then. Unfortunately, before the 4 ancestral Thunder Sparrows could do anything to Tu Huang, they were swept by Tu Huang's sleeve. The entire sky was instantly split apart by the sword light. The 4 ancestral Thunder Sparrows hiding inside the heavenly Tao were all heavily injured by the sword chi. How would they dare to attack Tu Huang? They didn't even dare to breathe. They could see that it was Tu Huang who showed mercy that allowed them to live. Otherwise, they would have died directly. This woman had the terrifying strength to destroy the heavenly Tao of this world with a raise of her hand. She was 10,000 times more terrifying than the southern medicine saint who built the extreme Dan sacred region. Since all of you helped the little butterfly on the sacred mountain, I won't kill you. Scram! Tu Huang said coldly. Yes, yes, yes. My lord, please calm down. We will scram now. The 4 ancestral Thunder Sparrows immediately ran away. They no longer had the authority and dignity of the heavenly Tao. Ji Qingling. How dare you destroy my physical body? You deserve to die. Do you think you can kill me by burning your reincarnation? You are wrong. My original name is 10 Bees. I was bestowed with the surname Ji by the desolate ancient immortal sovereign and changed the name of 10 bees to 10 spirits. I will let you see how wonderful this name is. A golden bee primordial spirit flew out from 10 bees' corpse and roared in shock and anger. Then, a golden bee stinger shot out from its tail. The bee stinger grew with the wind and turned into a golden divine spear. Boundless Tao laws interweaved and emitted a grand heavenly sound. It suddenly approached Tu Huang. An ancient divine spear made from half a drop of the great desolate blood. I have already lost the great desolate blood weapon. Then, I will use my blood to corrupt your great desolate blood weapon. Bang! Tu Huang revealed a final smile. His body was penetrated by the golden divine spear. He didn't dodge or resist. Then, his physical body exploded into a mist of blood with a bang. However, for some reason, the blood mist suddenly condensed and transformed into one ancient and inexplicable brand after another that was engraved on the golden divine spear. Then, the golden divine spear actually decayed bit by bit. Bit by bit, it was corroded into ashes. Impossible. You actually destroyed the great desolate blood weapon with your illusory body. I don't believe it. After the blood weapon was destroyed, the golden bee primordial spirit coughed out golden blood. Its body also shrunk greatly, as if it was extremely weak. Then, the blood mist that filled the sky turned into a bloody wind and engulfed it. It wanted to escape but it couldn't. Every drop of blood in the blood mist carried the sword ancestor's Tao of sword. At this moment, the golden bee regretted accepting the desolate ancient immortal sovereign's mission to kill Ning Fan and bring back the sword ancestor who had admitted her mistake. The sword ancestor would never admit her mistake. This was a lunatic, a crazy woman who couldn't be reasoned with. Ji Qingling, you are very good. Very good. I, Ji Shiling, will remember the grudge of killing my second primordial spirit today. Even though I can't come to immortal sovereign Zido's illusory world with my true body, I can stay in the origin world and wait for your little butterfly's arrival. It's fine if he doesn't go to the origin world. But if he does, I will definitely tear him into pieces. You who have burned away your samsara won't be able to protect him anymore. Ha ha ha. While the golden bee was laughing maliciously, it was cut into nothingness by the sword of the Tao of blood mist. Then, the blood mist dissipated into the wind bit by bit with the slaughter sovereign's final sigh, as if it never existed. After a long time, Ning Fan ran all the way back to the dragon nest. However, he could only find Duolan. He couldn't find the slaughter sovereign anymore. He activated his rain sense to the maximum. The sky that was always filled with dark clouds finally started to rain. It was as if the sky was crying. Find her. I must find her. Ning Fan's expression was as if he had gone insane. This expression had not appeared on his face for many years. He forgot about the injuries in his body, all the sceneries in heaven and earth. He even forgot to breathe. He activated his rain technique to the maximum in his life. It almost covered the entire extreme Dan sacred region. However, he could not find the slaughter sovereign at all. Even the supreme 10 bees who he could faintly sense earlier could not be found for some reason. After a long time, Ning Fan's rain sense suddenly captured a violent explosion in the sky somewhere in the extreme Dan sacred region. He rushed to that place without a care in the world. However, when he arrived there, he could not find anything at all. The slaughter sovereign was not here. The supreme 10 bees was not here. There were only 2 traces of death chi that rose into the sky and perished together in this place. Only the terrifying sword chi that could not be dispersed reverberated in heaven and earth. Only countless uncontrollable flying swords were still flying towards this place one after another. Only the words of the slaughter sovereign that were mixed in the sword chi still remained in heaven and earth. When Ning Fan arrived, those words entered his ears. I'm sorry, little butterfly. This is the second time you have to see my death. The first time was when the sword ancestor, Bai Gu, died in front of Ning Fan. The second time was now. The sword ancestor's emotions were gone. The slaughter sovereign was gone. Because his reverse scale was touched, he actually killed the Supreme 10 Bees at all costs. From now on, whether it was the Sword Ancestor's corpse or the Sword Ancestor's emotions, they would all disappear from this world. The Sword Orthodoxy had also truly lost its previous master from this moment onwards. From now on, he would never be able to find her again. No matter which reincarnation he went through, he would never be able to find her. I have imagined countless times how I would feel when leaving the extreme Dan's sacred region. However, I didn't expect it to be so heavy. I have imagined the countless karmic ties between us. I know that we started in the butterfly's hometown, but I didn't know that our karmic ties would end here. Ning Fan stood in silence. His hands were clenched into fists so tightly that they bled. The first time the Sword Ancestor's corpse disappeared in front of him, it made him feel indescribable melancholy. He chose to use a hangover to forget that feeling. However, the second time, how could he forget this empty feeling? Forget this feeling of heart being twisted by a knife. Forget this kind of madness and self-blame that made him want to destroy the entire world. Why didn't he discover the Slaughter Sovereign's near death earlier? Why? If he lives, she dies. If she dies, he lives. Where will immortals go after disappearing? By my order, return the Sword Ancestor to me. Ning Fan's body suddenly erupted with a sky-piercing purple-black demon spirit power. At this moment, he was not the leader of the Calamity Blood clan, the ancient devil or the ancient god. He was the ancient demon. He pointed at the sky. A purple-black spirit wheel suddenly appeared in the sky. As soon as it appeared, it kept growing bigger. In the end, it was so huge that it could cover the entire sky. When he activated his ability, a boundless suction force was emitted from the spirit wheel, trying to suck the Slaughter Sovereign's scattered soul back from heaven and earth. He did not know if the Slaughter Sovereign was the kind of person who would die without yielding. Even if he wasn't, he would still keep him here. Foolish child. You actually want to use the first round of the 5 spirit wheels to capture Ji Qingling's soul. I have to say that you are very ignorant and incompetent. Oh. So that's how it is. You are the vast boundless butterfly that Ji Qingling picked up in the past. It's quite rare for a mortal butterfly to be able to cultivate until today. Unfortunately, the second step is the limit of a mortal butterfly like you. It's impossible even for you to become an emperor. How about this? I owe Ji Qingling a favor. I will give you 10 breaths of time. If you stop now, I will help you deceive the Yellow Spring Holy Sect and exempt you from the serious crime of interfering with the return of Ji Qingling's Tao orthodoxy. A voice sounded from the other side of the endless reincarnation. It carried the might of the third step, causing Ning Fan to spurt out a mouthful of blood and fall from the sky. The Fuli spirit wheel that he had just released was instantly broken into 2 halves. Facing the might of the third step expert that suddenly appeared, Ning Fan felt small and insignificant. His body even instinctively wanted to surrender. That submission did not come from his own will. It came from the will of the mysterious saint. He wanted to use his will to control Ning Fan's body and stop him from doing that crazy thing. Ning Fan's eyes turned even redder. The words of the mysterious saint might have carried a trace of kindness. However, anyone who tries to stop him from taking back the Sword Ancestor would be his enemy no matter who they are. I must bring her back. I must. Ning Fan roared. The stars of the Battle of Yin and Yang emitted dazzling divine light from his glabella. Under the suppression of the saint's will, he regained control of his body. Then, he withstood the boundless pressure of the saint and released the Fuli spirit wheel again, wanting to take back the Sword Ancestor's remnant soul from heaven and earth. The mysterious saint still wanted to stop him, but Ning Fan summoned his god-slaying giant form and ignited a drop of Fuli ancestral blood in his body. This time, he was not struck down from the sky by the saint's pressure. This time, the demon spirit power of his Fuli spirit wheel was more than 10 times stronger than before. However, it was not crushed by the mere pressure of the saint. Hiss. The fragment of the ancient kingdom's god-slaying shield. And the Fuli ancestral blood. Is that Ji Qingling such an important person to you? You even exposed the ancient kingdom's god-slaying shield in front of me. Besides, you are even willing to give up the ancestral blood of the Fuli bloodline. You have really moved me. Unfortunately, I have a duty to fulfill. I can't let you interfere in this matter. I can pretend that I didn't see what happened today. You can leave now. Chi. 5 rays of golden light suddenly appeared in the sky and turned into a golden hoop, binding the god-slaying giant's neck and limbs. When the golden hoop tightened, it pierced into his flesh. It could be said that the power of the golden hoop was definitely more terrifying than the heavenly tribulation that Ning Fan triggered on the sacred mountain. As the golden hoop tightened, the god-slaying giant's neck and limbs exploded. His god-slaying giant form was destroyed. Now that his god-slaying giant form was destroyed, the 5 golden hoop appeared on Ning Fan's neck and limbs. Under the binding, Ning Fan felt that his physical body was on the verge of breaking apart. His magic power was sealed. His Fuli spirit will that was half-ignited was sealed. His half-opened Fuli spirit will dissipated once again due to losing the support of his magic power. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with hatred. Under the suppression of absolute strength, he could not even put up a slight resistance. At the place where Emperor Tu had fallen, a few specks of light suddenly rose into the air. Then, countless stairs appeared in the sky. These stairs were connected to the sky. Looking at it from afar, it was shrouded in yellow mist and its end could not be seen. However, one could vaguely see the vague outline of a human head standing at the end of the stairs. It gave off an invisible sense of majesty. Those specks of light flew into the stairs. No, it was not accurate to say that they flew into the stairs. Instead of saying that they flew into the stairs, it would be more accurate to say that they were sucked into the gigantic human head at the end of the stairs. Then, they were swallowed. At your level, you are merely comparable to the ancient immortal venerables. There are countless of them in the true world. Don't even think that you can interfere with the unification of the Tao from my hands. Not killing you is already my consideration for our past relationship. Don't overstep your boundaries, you lowly ant. It was the mysterious saint's disdainful voice that reverberated throughout heaven and earth. However, no matter how loud that voice was, Ning Fan did not care as he could not hear it at all. He had forgotten all the scenery in front of him and all the sounds beside his ears. He even forgot about the 5 golden hoop that bound his body. He witnessed the scene of the human head swallowing the specks of light. He did not know what that was. He only knew that every time the human head swallowed a speck of light, the distance between him and Sovereign Tu would increase. Give her, back to me. Ning Fan's voice was hoarse. His primordial spirit rushed out of his physical body which was bound by the chains and charged towards the gigantic human head. Then, be it the specks of light or Ning Fan's primordial spirit, they were all swallowed by the gigantic human head. Hiss! You actually rushed into the mouth of the Nether Lord for Ji Qingling. With that vast expanse butterfly's cultivation base, it shouldn't have failed to notice the consequences of being swallowed by the Nether Lord. She actually had such courage. Ji Qingling didn't lose everything for this butterfly in the past in vain. Unfortunately, this vast expanse butterfly is too weak. You should know that even the legendary vast expanse 9 butterflies would only end up being digested and destroyed after being swallowed by the Nether Lord. Amidst the mysterious saint's sigh, the countless stairs and the mysterious human head disappeared from heaven and earth as if they had never existed. In the true world, in the Yellow Spring Sacred Sect. Above a layer of clouds that was filled with strange light, there was an old man wearing a green Taoist robe. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back with a regretful expression. In front of him stood an ancient tree that was 10,000 zhang tall. The qi of this tree was tremendous, as if it had a spirit. There were also countless baby-shaped fruits on the tree. The cultivation base of the old man in the Taoist robe could not be seen clearly. However, one could tell that he was a saint. Moreover, he was not at the Genesis saint realm but an existence of a higher level. His eyes were filled with regret. He was clearly looking at the ancient tree, but it was as if he was looking at something else. Interesting. A mere mortal rank vast expanse butterfly actually dares to enter the mouth of the Nether Lord for Ji Qingling. The mouth of the Nether Lord is the final destination of all souls in the world. There is no reincarnation there. There is only digestion and destruction. It is impossible for this child to bring out all of Ji Qingling's orthodoxy. However, if he has the cultivation base of a desolate saint and only brings out a little bit of the soul, perhaps, there is a 1 in a billion chance that he can achieve this. Never mind. Ji Qingling, oh Ji Qingling. Back then, when I had just become a saint and was besieged by great enemies, you used your sword to save me. If not for your help, I would have become a pile of soil. It is also because of this that I am willing to pay the price and accept this difficult task to send you off to collect your orthodoxy. This is also to express my gratitude. Your greatest wish in life is to protect that fragile butterfly of yours. I will take the risk of violating the sect's rules and help you. The complete orthodoxy cannot be taken away by the vast expanse butterfly. However, if it is only a little bit of the soul. Vast expanse butterfly, oh vast expanse butterfly. Whether you can achieve your wish and escape from the mouth of the Nether Lord will all depend on your ability. Saint Kai Wei sighed and sat cross-legged in front of the ancient tree. She patted her head and her primordial spirit immediately flew out of her body and entered the ancient tree that was full of nascent fruits. His cultivation base had not improved for many years. To a saint, there were some karma that had to be repaid. Even if he had to pay a price for this matter and suffer some punishment, he would definitely not owe them anything. Chapter 1087. Beneath his feet was the boundless red soil continent. His ears were filled with dead silence. There was not a single sound of wind. The sky was made up of countless specks of light that gathered together to form a vast and boundless starry sky. It had been 3 days since Ning Fan's primordial spirit rushed into this strange place. This strange place was the world inside the mouth of the gigantic human head. His physical body was restrained by the golden hoop. He could not move and was left in the outside world. His primordial spirit rushed into this strange place alone, intending to bring Tu Huang or the sword ancestor back from this place. For this trip, Ning Fan's primordial spirit brought the god-exterminating shield and the storage pouch. However, he did not bring the yin-yang locket with him. Instead, he left it inside his dantian. He did not know if he could bring Tu Huang back. He did not know if he could survive this trip and return to his hometown. If he fails this trip and dies here, he could not let the countless human cauldrons in the profound Yin world perish together with him. At the moment he entered this strange place, he even tried to slightly suppress the connection between life and death of the enslavement and other restrictions. In this way, even if he dies, he would not cause any fatal harm to Zhang Yu, Old Wu Ba and the others. That's right, he charged into this strange place with the awareness of death in his heart. Because this strange place gave him a sense of danger. He did not even have a 1/10000000th chance of surviving. Entering this place was definitely the most unwise decision he had ever made in his life. However, even if there was only a tiny chance, he still wanted to give it a try. He was not willing to watch Tu Huang disappear right in front of him. Even though he had already slept with Tu Huang, it was not a reason for him to lose control over his madness for the sake of Tu Huang. As a matter of fact, even if an ordinary human cauldron encountered such an encounter, Ning Fan would definitely save him at all costs given his stubbornness. Even though the outcome would be the same, if it was just an ordinary woman, he would not have such crazy emotions burning in his chest. I don't understand. I don't understand. At this moment, Ning Fan could not understand his own heart. He had countless women around him. If he were to talk about the one he had the deepest feelings for, it would definitely be his first woman, Ji He. It wasn't that other women weren't good, it was just that his relationship with Ji He was insignificant. It was due to poverty, and it was the first relationship he had in his life. He treasured it the most, so there was a kind of importance that others couldn't compare with. Mu Weiliang, Su Qiuling, Luo Yu. There were many other women whom he valued as much as his life. He wasn't a good man, he wasn't even a good person. However, this was the first time he realized that there was a woman in this world who held a different meaning to him compared to other women. That difference had nothing to do with his feelings. His feelings for Tu Huang were far from being the strongest among all the women. What Tu Huang gave him was an indescribable feeling. It was a kind of intimacy that came out of nowhere. It was a kind of gratitude that came from the bottom of his heart. It was a debt that could not be repaid even after countless reincarnations. That's right, I owe him. At this moment, Ning Fan finally understood the reason why Sovereign Slaughter gave him the most special feeling. Emperor Tu was definitely not the person he had the deepest feelings for. But it was probably the woman that he owed the most in his previous life. I have a feeling that I owed her a lot in my previous life. I owed her a lot. It was so much that even after going through countless reincarnations, I still can't let go of this matter in the depths of my soul. When I saw the remains of the sword ancestor disappearing in front of me at the corpse mountain, I was powerless to stop it. I actually had a feeling that my heart was like dead ashes. It's really unimaginable. This time, when I saw Sovereign Slaughter disappearing, I actually wished that I could turn the entire world upside down. This kind of crazy thought seems to be born in my heart on the surface. But perhaps, it's not. Perhaps, it's the crazy emotion that remained in the depths of my soul when I flew out of the butterfly's hometown. Sovereign Slaughter is the sword ancestor. The sword ancestor had already passed away countless years ago. The sword ancestor's utmost emotion that formed Sovereign Slaughter's body is the last trace of the sword ancestor's imprint in this world. What is that light spot that was swallowed by the gigantic human head? The mysterious sage who stopped me said that I was interfering with the return of the sword ancestor's Tao orthodoxy. What is a Tao orthodoxy? Ning Fan's primordial spirit carried the god-exterminating shield and flew close to the dark red continent. He did not dare to fly too high as he was afraid that he would come into contact with the stars in the sky. The stars in this strange place carried unfathomable might at every moment. Previously, he accidentally got close to one of them. As a result, one of the stars released a ray of destructive starlight at a certain moment. It even created a hole in his god-exterminating shield. His primordial spirit was even penetrated by that ray of starlight, leaving him with severe injuries that left him on the verge of death. Moreover, if he recklessly uses his spirit sense in this place, he would certainly trigger the attacks of the mysterious stars. After that, Ning Fan consumed a large amount of pills to suppress his injuries. However, he could only barely suppress them. It was impossible for his injuries to recover at all. His wounds seemed to be constantly torn open by a force that he could not understand. It was his first time encountering such a force. Later on, he searched blindly in this place for 3 days. Because he could not spread his spirit sense across a large area, he could not find the light spot that Sovereign Slaughter had scattered into heaven and earth at all. The pattern of heaven and earth in this place was constantly changing. From the moment he entered this place, he could no longer find the way back. On the 4th day, Ning Fan still could not find Sovereign Slaughter. His primordial spirit and blood essence began to evaporate in this strange place. He felt excruciating pain every second. On the 5th day, his primordial spirit had already shrunk by a large margin. It was only half of its original size. His chi was extremely weak. However, he still stubbornly continued to search in this place. On the 6th day, Ning Fan's primordial spirit finally could not hold on any longer. He fainted on the ground. The god-exterminating shield and his storage pouch also fell on the red soil. The 7th day. The 8th day. The 9th day, Ning Fan never woke up again. His primordial spirit and blood essence were completely evaporated. His primordial spirit that had shrunk to its limit eventually turned into steam and dissipated in this strange place, returning to nothingness. It's only been 9 days and you're already dead? If you can't hold on for 22 days, I won't be able to help you even if I want to. After all, the illusionary world that you're in is too far away from me. It's too far away. I need time to connect the two worlds with my sense. In the boundless starry sky, Sage Kai Wei sighed regretfully. Her voice seemed to come from an extremely distant place. On the 10th day. On the 11th day. The storage pouch that was lying quietly on the ground suddenly shot out a ray of moonlight. At the moment when the moonlight appeared, the time power in the surrounding space strangely flowed in reverse. Prajna Paramitha, it was the incantation that Ning Fan had placed in the storage pouch in advance. As time flowed in reverse, Ning Fan's fallen primordial spirit actually recovered and reconstructed itself bit by bit. In the end, Ning Fan, who was supposed to die on the 9th day, was resurrected on the 11th day. That was close. If I didn't call out the Moonlight Treasure Box's true name before attacking the sacred mountain, I would most likely have died in this strange place. Ning Fan said with lingering fear. His fear towards this strange place had risen to an unprecedented level. His primordial spirit waved its small hand and kept the storage pouch and the god-exterminating shield into its embrace. It tied the small shield to his chest, making it look like a slightly protruding breastplate. The storage pouch was carried on his back. Then, he took out the Moonlight Treasure Box from the storage pouch and studied it carefully. He realized that a quarter of the saints' will inside the treasure box had actually been used up because of his resurrection. In other words, the remaining will of the saint was only enough for him to die 3 times in this place. The so-called Moonlight Treasure Box was actually the pig-faced treasure box's true name. When Ning Fan awakened his innate talent of communicating with all living things, he heard this true name from the treasure box. It was quite magical. Before knowing the true name of the Moonlight Treasure Box, the steps to use it were extremely complicated. One must first set a mark in a certain area before it could be used. When Ning Fan learned the true name of the Moonlight Treasure Box and used it, he actually had a strange feeling of becoming one with the box. When he used it again, he could use it at any time and place even if there was no mark in advance. Besides, there were no restrictions such as the number of times it could be used, the cooldown time and so on. Since then, the Moonlight Treasure Box had 2 completely different ways of using it. It could be used as a mark in its normal state and as a non-mark in its true name. When using it without a mark, there were 3 things to note. Firstly, it could only allow Ning Fan, the owner of the treasure box, to go back in time alone. It couldn't change the time of everyone around him like when he used the mark. In other words, Ning Fan could be resurrected by reversing the flow of time without a mark, but others couldn't. They could only do it if they were marked in advance. Secondly, when it was used without a mark, the consumption of the saint's will in the Moonlight Treasure Box was huge. If the level of the attack that caused death was too high, the consumption would be even higher. Thirdly, when it was used without a mark, there would be a certain delay. It could be 1 to 4 hours or 1 to 2 days. The delay was not fixed according to the surrounding environment and the cause of death. This was also the reason why Ning Fan was only revived by the Moonlight Treasure Box after a delay of 2 days. Oh. You actually came back to life with the Moonlight Treasure Box of the Extreme Een Sacred Sect? I thought you had already died here. It seems like I have underestimated you. Saint Kai Wei's voice carried a hint of surprise. Her voice reverberated across heaven and earth. Ning Fan's primordial spirit was stunned. He kept the Moonlight Treasure Box into his storage pouch and carefully spread his spirit sense across the area. Because the coverage of his spirit sense was too shallow, he naturally could not find the hiding place of the speaker. Retract your spirit sense. Don't spread it beyond 10 zhang. It was Kai Wei's friendly reminder. Ning Fan was instantly surprised. Judging from the voice, the person who was reminding him was obviously the mysterious saint who stopped him from using the Fuli spiritual wheel to gather the remnant soul of Sovereign Slayer. Why did this person kindly remind him? Is he really doing it out of kindness or is he plotting something else? Ning Fan had experienced too many schemes and schemes. Facing a mysterious saint of unknown origin, he was naturally extremely cautious. Even though he was cautious, he still acted according to the advice. He retracted his spirit sense to around 10 zhang and did not continue to search for the whereabouts of this mysterious saint. After all, he could also see that it was not advisable to spread out his spirit sense too much in this place. This place is the underworld earth. It's the place where all the supreme beings who once possessed the Tao orthodoxy of heaven and earth return to after their deaths. Each of the stars was formed by the extremely powerful beings among the saints after their deaths. Moreover, some of the stars in this place were formed by fourth-step immortal sovereigns. Don't go near those stars. Even though you have one of the fragments of the god-exterminating shield of the ancient country, you are still just an insignificant ant in front of those stars. You need to be respectful. Underworld Earth? It was Ning Fan's first time hearing this term. He could not help but feel moved. In this place, you can't tell others your name. Otherwise, even the strongest desolate saint among the saints won't be able to leave this place. You will be trapped by the wall of the underworld earth forever. If you want to find someone, you can't call out that name. Otherwise, you will never be able to find that person. Remember, remember. Names are things that transcend reality and illusion. They are the root of the existence of the cultivators in the eyes of the underworld earth. You might not understand it, but you can't go against it. Saint Kai Wei continued. I can't simply call out names in this place. Ning Fan did not doubt the authenticity of Saint Kai Wei's words. After all, she did not seem to have any reason to lie to him about such things. Inwardly, he felt a little lucky that he did not say a word or call out loudly while searching for Tu Huang in the underworld earth. If he accidentally called out the names of Tu Huang and Sword Ancestor, it would be really troublesome. Thank you for your advice, Senior. Ning Fan was still vigilant, but he still thanked her at the boundless starry sky. You don't have to thank me. I'm not helping you. I'm just fulfilling my own karma. Everything you see in the layout of the underworld earth is illusory. If it's not for Desolate Sage, you will never find the end of this place if you walk in it. I can't give you directions because the layout of the underworld earth in everyone's eyes is different. However, I can give you some pointers. The layout of heaven and earth in the underworld earth is numeric 9. 9 system. Ning Fan was surprised. Then, the small face of his primordial spirit turned serious. His eyes sparkled with green light. When he looked at this world using the 9 system, he immediately felt different. He silently activated the Force character. Ning Fan did not need Saint Kai Wei to continue reminding him. After identifying a direction, he turned left and right and continued moving forward at full speed. The 12th day, the 13th day, the 14th day. The 20th day. Ning Fan's primordial spirit could not endure it anymore and fell once again. On the 22nd day, he was resurrected for the second time with the help of the Moonlight Treasure Box. The remaining saints will is still enough for me to resurrect twice in this place. The level of this place is too high. Using the Moonlight Treasure Box to resurrect me will consume too much of my energy. Ning Fan's heart was extremely heavy as he continued moving forward. On the 25th day, in the boundless underworld earth in front of him, a strange fragrance suddenly entered his nose. He did not know what the source of that fragrance was. With just a sniff, Ning Fan's weak and shrunken primordial spirit directly returned to its normal size. His chi was full and he no longer felt weak. His spirit was lifted and he continued moving forward. The further he went, the stronger the strange fragrance became. On the 28th day, a 10,000 zhang tall ancient tree appeared in front of him. The ancient tree was filled with fruits in the shape of babies. Countless specks of light condensed into fireflies which parasitized the 10,000 zhang tall ancient tree. Under the ancient tree, a saint in Taoist robes stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He did not have a physical body but a phantom that was condensed from the power of his primordial spirit. When Ning Fan arrived, the saint turned around with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Impressive. I have only given you a few pointers, but you actually managed to reach this place with your comprehension of the great momentum. In terms of bloodline and qualifications, you might be the weakest among all the cultivators in this world. However, in terms of techniques, even among the outstanding ancient immortal venerables, not many of them could do this. Junior Ning. Junior greets Senior. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Ning Fan could not hide the excitement on his face. After arriving at this ancient tree, he could clearly sense that among the countless fireflies parasitized on the ancient tree, there was one whose chi was similar to that of Slaughter Sovereign and the Sword Ancestor. Finally, I found it. Because he was too excited, he actually forgot about Sage Kai Wei's reminder and nearly blurted out his true name. Fortunately, he noticed it in time and stopped talking. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Sage Kai Wei praised Ning Fan and no longer said anything else. In her opinion, even though Ning Fan was an outstanding ancient immortal venerables, that was all there was to him. Even though she praised him, it was far from shocking. After all, there were as many ancient immortal venerables like Ning Fan in the true world as there were stars in the sky. I've heard of you, the boundless butterfly. In the past, that person in the Purple Mountain Do-Si personally came forward and asked the people of the Sage sect to give a group of Purple Dipper immortal cultivators a chance to reincarnate. However, there was actually a mortal butterfly among them who had no cultivation base at all. The entire three worlds was shocked. Some people even speculated that the 10 ancient spirits of the Purple Dipper immortal region were not the backup plan of that lord but you and that group of Purple Dipper immortal cultivators. However, in the end, none of you walked out of the illusory world's reincarnation and returned to the true world. Only then did everyone realize that they had overestimated the cultivation base of the Purple Dipper immortal cultivators who entered the illusory world's reincarnation. Ning Fan remained silent. He was not interested in such secrets. Do you know how reckless you were? You barged into the underworld earth with just a cultivation base at the second step. Hee. Even though you have the fragment of the God-exterminating shield of the ancient country and the moonlight treasure box of the extreme Yin sacred sect, your cultivation base is still too weak. This is a situation where you will definitely die. If I get involved in this matter, your soul will definitely perish in the underworld earth. Is that woman an important existence that you want to find even if you have to sacrifice your soul? Sage Kai Wei sighed. I don't know if she is important to me or not. Coming here to find her is a kind of instinct. It's a kind of repayment. Ning Fan said calmly. That kind of calmness was because he owed the Sword Ancestor too much in his previous and current lives. If he really could not save her, he would have an instinct that made him willingly die in this boundless underworld earth with the Sword Ancestor. Repayment? How do you plan to repay her and leave this place with her remnant soul? Yes. Do you know that she had already died in the past in order to protect your reincarnation? Today, the orthodoxy that was returned to the underworld earth only contains an extremely small trace of her soul. If the soul power of an entire soul is 1 million units, the souls that you have absorbed today are not even 10 units. Besides, even if it's 10 units of souls, the underworld earth won't allow you to take all of them away. Even if I help you to deceive the heavens, you can only take away 1,000th of the souls from these 10 units at most. Such a small number of souls is almost useless. In order to take away such a large number of souls, the price you have to pay might be your life. Ning Fan remained calm as if he did not hear what Sage Kai Wei said. He was looking at one of the countless fireflies on the ancient tree. The number of souls that you can take away is too little. Besides, you can't even take a trace of the most important orthodoxy. What do you want to do by taking away so few souls? Resurrect her. Not to mention that you have only cultivated the first wheel of the 5 spirit wheels. Even if you cultivate the legendary 4th wheel, you won't be able to do this because her soul is already incomplete. Ning Fan remained silent. Judging from what Sage Kai Wei said, even if he takes away Tu Huang's soul today, he would not be able to resurrect her. However, if he does not give it a try, he would not be satisfied. I'm not saying this to stop you from doing what you want to do. I just want you to be mentally prepared. As a sage, I can see the destinies and fortunes of all second-step cultivators. Your destiny and hers do not intersect. Unless you are stronger than the destinies and fortunes, you won't be able to change this. Ning Fan remained silent. Sage Kai Wei looked at Ning Fan deeply, as if she was getting to know him again. Then, she praised him. What a determined little fellow. This old man's words can't even make you waver a little. Yes. What do you plan to do next? I'll try to see if I can take away the fireflies that are the remnants of her soul. Take away the whole one. I've already told you. You can only take away 1,000th of it. Forget it. You are too stubborn. Anyway, the power of your treasure box is still enough for you to be resurrected twice. If you don't realize how difficult this matter is, you won't turn back. Just as Sage Kai Wei's sigh fell, Ning Fan had already turned into a shadow and dashed towards the ancient tree. He leaped and soared into the sky, trying to take the firefly that was the remnant soul of Tu Huang into his hand. At this moment, the entire ancient tree suddenly emitted a boundless aura. Then, the entire great emperor of the underworld earth turned into an unbelievable scene in Ning Fan's eyes. The boundless dark red continent turned into a boundless giant palm and clenched it fiercely. Ning Fan's vision turned black. Before he could even touch the firefly, he was already killed by the giant palm that was the entire underworld earth. That was a strike that surpassed the third step immortal emperors. It was a strike that surpassed most fourth step immortal emperors. Killing Ning Fan was like killing an ant. After that strike, the entire underworld earth returned to its original state. Sage Kai Wei and the ancient tree were still at their original spots as if they had never moved at all. It was as if the clenching of the entire continent was just an illusion that did not affect these existences at all. On the 30th day, Ning Fan was resurrected under the moonlight. The remaining will of the treasure box was only enough for him to be resurrected one last time. The expression on Ning Fan's primordial spirit's face was extremely unpleasant. He was unwilling to admit it, but he had to admit that the current him could not take away all the remnant souls of Tu Huang that he had absorbed earlier. No, he could not even take away 1,000th of them. After the Saint Realm, there are 3 great cultivation realms: Incipient Saint, Nirvana Saint and Desolate Saint. I'm a Desolate Saint and I'm one of the top experts among the Desolate Saints. However, even if I use all my strength, I can only help you take away a few remnant souls. Besides, after this matter, I will be heavily punished. As for you, you won't be able to do it at all. This isn't something that can be solved by courage and fighting spirit. I hope you can recognize the reality. Sage Kai Wei sighed. This matter will even implicate Senior. Why does Senior want to help me? Ning Fan's expression became complicated. If he were to take away a trace of Tu Huang's soul, he would need Kai Wei's power. If this matter might even bring Sage Kai Wei punishment, Ning Fan had no choice but to consider Kai Wei's standpoint. He could give up his life for Tu Huang, but he was not willing to get involved in other people's karma. I've already said that I'm not helping you. Instead, I'm ending my own karma. It's the choice I made in order to advance to the 4th step in the future. It's difficult for existences like me to help others for friendship and recognition. Everything is for benefits. You don't owe me anything and you don't have to feel that you owe me anything. Of course, don't expect me to make a greater sacrifice for you. Junior understands Senior's meaning. Then, what should I do next to take away a trace of her soul? Next, I will fight against the entire underworld earth with the power of my primordial spirit. You will protect me. Don't be afraid of getting hurt. Within the range of the fragrance of this divine tree of underworld earth, any injuries at the 2nd step can be healed instantly. You can fight with your life on the line. As she said that, Kai Wei's expression turned solemn. Both of her hands moved rapidly, leaving afterimages. In an instant, she made thousands of hand seals. All of a sudden, the entire underworld earth shook violently. Millions of ancient phantoms floated out from the ground. All of them were wearing ancient clothes. Each of them had a powerful qi. The weakest among them was at the 2nd step, while there were hundreds of immortal emperors. Among them, there was no lack of quasi-saints and ancient great cultivators. Be careful. The first batch of phantoms of the underworld earth is left behind by the disciples of the saints of those orthodoxies after they return to their positions. They are immortal and indestructible. I must fight against the nether star in this place. I can't afford to be distracted. You will deal with these phantoms. Remember not to let these phantoms get close to me and affect my actions. Otherwise, I can only apologize to you. I can no longer help you take away a trace of her soul. I can only leave now.